For more information on the 21st Century Scholarship, visit learnmoreindiana.org/scholars. This Kids Count Minute is a message from the Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis.
It's Query and Company.
I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours.
You are not going to believe the company.
This company.
You're going to bankrupt your mama's company?
At least I have the radio to keep me company.
On 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points.
Quarterback backs to throw, plants, looking, throws over the middle into the end zone. He's got a man for a touchdown. That's DeMarcus Robinson. Rivers out of the gun, backs the pass. He's got time. He throws up into the end zone, and it's touchdown. Pierce again. Touchdown. Number 2 tonight for Alec Pierce, and it covers 16 yards to the house. Purdy rolling to his right, scanning, looking. He's at the 15-yard line, throws across his body into the end zone, and that is a catch for a touchdown, and that is George Kittle, the tight end. San Francisco leads 24-17. Shotgun snap to Purdy, scanning, throws right side to the goal line, and that's an over-the-shoulder catch for a touchdown. That's Jawan Jennings for the score. Purdy goes out of the gun. 2 receivers go to the right side. Shotgun snap for the quarterback. Here comes the rush by the Colts. He throws left, flat, wide open. Touchdown.
My goodness. The number 1 player on the field. Total coverage bust. They don't know what they're doing.
Rivers, shotgun snap, quick throw, and it's picked off. Intercepted by D. Winters, and he's going to go. He's got nobody in front of him. Down the right sideline, he's going to score. It's going to be a pick 6 by D. Winters. Final score tonight on Monday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers 48, and the Indianapolis Colts 27.
Well, you're not going to win that way.
We got our ass totally kicked in the second half. That's what it boiled down to. Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
You know, it was after a collapse for the Indianapolis Colts that Jim Mora went on his famous, and you heard Jim Mora there, fabulous job by Eddie Garrison putting that together, a couple of different Jim Mora clips there, the diddly poo from when he was with the Saints, and then the infamous playoffs from when he was the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And that game that he said that, the Colts had lost to the San Francisco 49ers, which is what happened last night at Lucas Oil Stadium. And I'm going to open this show right now with a disclaimer for all of Indianapolis, okay? It is the most wonderful time of the year. It's Christmas Eve. We will not be doing shows for the next 2 days. It is my hope that all of you are getting ready to celebrate, embrace, be warmed by your family, your friends, whether it be Christmas you are celebrating, Hanukkah you celebrated, Kwanzaa, whatever it may be. It is the most joyous season of the year. And sports are obviously our entertainment and not our nourishment. But nonetheless, in the season of good tidings, in the season of goodwill, I'm going to pause a little of all of that. And I'm going to give to my gift to you, the people of Indianapolis, and my apologies to the Indianapolis Colts, but I'm going to have to set aside goodwill for speaking candidly on behalf of those of you who were there last night, those of you who watched last night, those of you who have put your time, your effort, your emotion, your money into the Indianapolis Colts. To quote Jim Mora, that was a disgraceful performance.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked.
That is indeed correct, because that was a performance of a defense last night that looked like they wanted to be anywhere but there. There were people in the stands last night that probably had other things to do. They have to continue their Christmas shopping. They have to plan for grandma visiting for the holidays. They have to finish a project at work that needs to get done before the new year. But they sacrificed all of that to go and watch that performance. That was uninspiring. That was pathetic. That was inexcusable. That was disheartening. And that was something that, quite frankly, looked like a group of players that were basically saying, I've heard the chatter. I've heard the noise. I can sit there and tell you till the cows come home that I don't read the papers. I don't look at social media. I don't listen to the radio. I don't watch television. That is all a bunch of bunk BS because they bought into every single bit of criticism that has been said about them last night defensively. That was a group of players that they can tell me otherwise, but their actions said they didn't want to be there. And that now brings to the Colts. And I know mathematically they are still alive for the postseason. I get it. But they're not. And there are factors that go into that where they get a little bit of a pass, but we are going to unpack all of it. Today is, if you watch Seinfeld, today is Festivus. And what better thing to do on Festivus than the airing of grievances? And I'm going to sit here right now and go under the airing of grievances. Let's begin with this. For the last handful of years, the Colts have kicked the can at the quarterback position. They've kicked the can at the quarterback position. They went Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. Yeah, they tried the Carson Wentz thing. The owner didn't like him. Then they tried the Phillip Rivers thing, and he played pretty well, but didn't want to play a second year. Maybe should have looked into that. They tried the Matt Ryan thing, and they realized that he actually was ready for a television booth like the year before that. And then they tried the Anthony Richardson thing, and we don't need to go over all of that. But they kept kicking the can. And credit to Chris Ballard, because Chris Ballard went out and put together a roster that at the beginning of the year, when they finally found serendipitously almost Daniel Jones that could have some life at the quarterback position and played well for a while there. Kudos to them. Kudos to them because it looked like they had a solid roster. But you know the difference between good teams and championship teams? Good teams have good rosters. Championship teams have deep rosters. Yes, this is a team that was hurt by injury this year, notably at the quarterback position. But you know what? And in no way, shape, or form, when Daniel Jones went down, were people expecting that they were going to be able to get a quarterback in there that was going to carry them to a Super Bowl. But what you want is a quarterback that comes in and is playing with a team that is still playing inspired. Phillip Rivers last night came in there at the age of 44. The sideshow, the interest level. People in Boise, Idaho, and Savannah, Georgia that were like, I'm not really interested in the Monday Night Football game, but I heard Phillip Rivers is playing, and that's kind of interesting, so I'm going to check it out. And Phillip Rivers came out there, and Phillip Rivers actually did everything that they could probably ask of him. At the age of 44, for a guy that was working on a high school football field 14 days ago, and Phillip Rivers' wide receivers looked like they wanted to play for him. Alec Pierce made plays. Michael Pittman Jr. made plays. Josh Downs made plays. They looked inspired under the leadership and the great story of Phillip Rivers. But Phillip Rivers, the reason it's a great story is because Phillip Rivers is old. And you know what else is old? The tiresome excuses that we give for this franchise on why they keep finding themselves in the same damn position every year. Because it's been a decade now. How long are we going to continue to fall for the trap of the blink-eyed boy wonder? How long? Eventually you have to say to yourself, enough is enough. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And you can't blame that on Phillip Rivers. When Jim Mora went off on his famous San Francisco 49er rant, in that particular time period, he was having to defend Vic Fangio, his friend and defensive coordinator. And in that game, Peyton Manning had several interceptions a couple of pick sixes, and Jim Mora was saying, don't blame that loss on the defense, okay? That's how he started out by saying. But last night you would say, don't blame that loss on Phillip Rivers. Don't do it. But there is a lesson to be had by what happened last night in a couple of different ways, okay? First, you got to give kudos to Phillip Rivers. But when Phillip Rivers retired from the Chargers, actually, he didn't retire from the Chargers. When Phillip Rivers left the Chargers, because he obviously came and finished in Indianapolis. But when Phillip Rivers left the Chargers were ready to move on because they were drafting a quarterback that they were going to hand the keys over to and groom. His name was Justin Herbert. And I'm not saying that Justin Herbert's the end-all, be-all, but I think we can safely say he is a legitimate franchise quarterback that is getting ready to take his team into the postseason. You know who could have selected a quarterback at that situation? And who would have been available to select a quarterback? Justin Herbert, the Indianapolis Colts could have selected and had Justin Herbert. But they had sacrificed their first-round pick in a trade for DeForest Buckner because they pushed in to get a defensive player. And Buckner's a wonderful player, and he's been a great player here. So I understand that. But precedent. Pushing in and trading future stuff and mortgaging your future for an immediate splash on defense. That's called, by the way, foreshadowing. So Justin Herbert is a Charger now. Phillip Rivers was available. The Colts got him. Didn't wade through whether or not they could get a second year for him, and they continued to then have to kick the can. And yes, it's been a great story that they brought him back, and then last night they went out, and they had that game. And everybody's tuning in to see what Phillip Rivers is going to do. And Phillip Rivers represents, in many ways, what happens when you kick the can when it comes to your quarterback. You, not once but twice, go and find a guy that's in the twilight of his career, and he represents the fact that you could have had a young, multi-year, stable franchise quarterback, except for that you had traded away and mortgaged your future for an immediate defensive splash. So they go out last night, and I'm sitting up in the press box, and I'm very fortunate to be able to go and do that, I realize. But the press box is in the very top of the field of the stadium, way overlooking the field, which is good in a way because you can see everything in a bird's eye view. You're looking down in a bird's eye view. And I'm looking down, and what am I seeing? I'm seeing the San Francisco 49ers, a team that has had injury this year, a team that has had players that have been out, a team that has weathered the storm, waded through, navigated the floods that happen when your team is injured. And they sit there and allow Brock Purdy to walk through. I've been to training camps. I've been to Grand Park. You've all seen it. You've all seen what happens when you go out there and they're just running the little drills where the quarterback drops back and looks one way and then turns the other and throws just an easy route to the 8-yard guy, and everybody in the crowd claps for a second. Oh, Tyler Warren had a catch. And then later, like maybe they inadvertently overthrow one and somebody makes a great catch and everybody goes, ooh. And then people put on Twitter like, A.D. Mitchell, his second big play of the day. I have now Daniel Jones, 8 of 9. Holy cow. And you temper all of that because you're like, guys, there's not a defense on the field. They're doing a walkthrough. It's like they do in the hotel with tape in the ballroom that you see the videos of before the game. There's no defense out there. And last night, Brock Purdy, who was the last player selected in the National Football League draft. Brock Purdy, who was the 262nd overall pick. Brock Purdy, the 262nd overall pick, sat there and threw passes like he was at training camp, and he's throwing all over the field. And he's completing passes all over the field. And yeah, one of his receivers is out on IR. He's throwing all over the field. And one of his best tight ends was hurt at the beginning of the year, and another one made catches the first 3 games, 2 to 3 catches per game, and hasn't been heard from since. But it doesn't matter. Brock Purdy's throwing it all over the field. And I'm watching it, and I'm like super impressed by it. Look at this guy that's the 262nd pick. While the Colts were kicking the can, while the Colts were mortgaging their future and passing on to Justin Herbert, while the Colts were drafting in the 6th round guys that were going to be depth pieces at running back, the San Francisco 49ers found a quarterback that is a franchise player because they built depth around him. And I'm thinking all this, and then I'm reminding myself, but Jake, he's not throwing to a defense. There's no defense out there. This is walkthrough. And I'm looking at it, and what I'm seeing is I'm in Westfield again. That defense yesterday was absolutely pathetic, lifeless, had no heart, no clue, no motivation, no desire, and they can sit there and say till the cows come home. And I'm sure they will. They'll sit there and tell us over and over and over, you've never played the game. You've not been in a locker room, which is all the more reason it's egregious. I can tell that you had no desire to be there. None. You can't tell me otherwise. You can't. That was, to quote Jim Mora once again, the summary of last night.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked.
That was a disgraceful performance. And I feel bad for Phillip Rivers. I do. I feel bad for Phillip Rivers. And the question now becomes, where do you go from here? I know that mathematically they still have a chance at the playoffs. They are still alive. And listen, they're not bad people. It's not like they have a bunch of me-first character issue guys. But clearly, something is off. Because this is now a repeated pattern. Definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This is a repeated pattern because we continue to see, it doesn't matter who you have, Gus Bradley, Eberflus, Lou Anarumo, doesn't matter. We continue to see a Colts defense that plays well or sufficient for the first 75% of the season, and then all of a sudden, it is a massive drop-off. Is that mediocrity? Is that age? Is that lack of heart? Or is it this? Years ago when I was doing the morning show with Kevin Bowen and Mark Dykton, we had Chris Ballard on. And I asked Chris Ballard. That's when I said, into me, an infamous moment, but let me back that up, because I don't dislike Chris Ballard, and it's going to make it sound like I do. I don't dislike him. I think Chris Ballard does. I think in a lot of ways he's a pretty good dude, actually. And I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's great either. I don't think he's the boy wonder that we were led to believe that he was. We would see some result by now. But I remember asking Chris Ballard, what's the one aspect of building a football team that is the hardest to grasp and put your hands around? And he said, and he thought for a second. And he said, probably depth. Building depth, notably within lines. And if you look at in the college football playoff, what have I said is my one concern for Indiana, who I think is fantastic. But if you're going on back-to-back 3 straight week games against Alabama and Oregon and Ohio State or Texas Tech or whoever it may be, those teams have little subtle differences of depth where they can occasionally, without you even realizing it, rotate guys in for a play here or a play there. And when the game comes down to it, they are fresher. I'm not saying Indiana isn't fresh and isn't deep, but that's the one area that is of concern for me. And in the NFL, the depth of overcoming injury and then overcoming fatigue in the course of a game seem to have doomed the Colts repeatedly with that defense. And it's because I don't think they have the depth. You can't consistently. It's great with fantasy football when you look at your lineup and you're like, oh gosh, my kicker's on a bye. I'm just going to go get a kicker off the street. That's fine. That's fine for your tight end. That's fine in fantasy football on Yahoo or ESPN or wherever you're doing it. That's not fine on how to run an NFL franchise. And obviously Chris Ballard doesn't have that by design, but when you go in at the corner position and you are constantly putting in new pieces, and you are trying for the umpteenth year to get a pass rush. How long are we going to do this? How long are we going to do this? Brock Purdy had all day long. He sat back there. Brock Purdy sat there yesterday. I don't know how many people were there wearing red shirts, but Brock Purdy does. You know why? He had time to count all of them. He sat in the pocket and was sitting there looking around and literally was saying to himself, oh, okay. I thought there was going to be a pass rush here, but okay. None. Non-existent. All day. That was as solid a performance, a near perfect quarterbacking performance from the 262nd pick in the draft. He has depth. Has different guys he can throw to and make plays to because they've had to do that over the course of the year. And they just kept going to it. I get it. The Daniel Jones injury is significant. I get it. The Mooney Ward injury is significant. But that doesn't explain lack of effort. And that was a total lack of effort. And I'll tell you another thing I'm tired of in terms of insanity of doing the same thing over and over. I'm tired of hearing the same thing over and over. I'm tired of saying the same thing over and over. Like, for example, and Shane Steichen's got to be tired of saying the same thing over and over. Like last night when he was asked what his overall thought was on the game.
Got to be better. That starts with me. Got to be better. Bottom line, we can't give up that many yards. They scored a lot of points, went up and down the field. We got to get that cleaned up in a hurry. Our defense played great last week, and then this week, got to be better. It starts with me. Bottom line.
Good Lord. I mean, here we go, right? How often are we going to continue to just have to clean things up? And I like Shane Steichen, too. And I think Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, you look at the percentage for the playoffs. The percentage chances to make the playoffs. What was it last night going into it? If they win all their games, 86% chance to make the playoffs. If they won last night, it stays at 19%. Now it's at 3%, whatever else. The percentage that Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen are back next year, I thought going into the game last night, 85%, 90%. That may be in flux a little bit. I still think they're back. And there's a definitive reason why I still think they're back that I'm going to get into in just a couple of minutes. And I think you can look at precedent of the way things are done within professional sports and some curveballs that are taking place. I don't think it's the slam dunk that everybody assumes it is that those guys are gone. And I'm not even saying that it's the slam dunk that they should be gone. But last night, what you saw was a total collapse when it mattered most. And by collapse, I mean the Indianapolis Colts made a phone call to an old guy and asked him if he could come in and try to salvage their season. And he did everything that you could ask him to do. Yeah, he threw a costly pick, okay. But the game was over at that point. Phillip Rivers gave them energy. Phillip Rivers gave them a model of an example of leadership and heart. Phillip Rivers gave them a vibe and a groove, and he gave them effort. And when they called the old guy and asked him to do that, everything that he was asked to deliver, he did. But he was then beaten by the same old. The same old all talk, no action. The same old schematic letdown of not being able to get to a quarterback. The same old defenses that are talking about going out and playing at a high level and making plays and then nowhere to be found. And the same old in the fact that you're back to where you once were now in terms of the uncertainty long term, because when it comes to trying to find the answers for it, you mortgaged your immediate future for defensive splash. Who, dare I say, last night they had a really, really, really good, and I appreciate it very much, they had a really good spread up in the press box, and I was able to enjoy, because my favorite thing in life is barbecue sauce, and I was able to enjoy some really good barbecue sauce before the game. And guess what? That's the only sauce I saw in the game last night, because the guy they mortgaged the future for, not his fault, again, but he's injured. And at this point now, moving forward, you wonder, does he now become an outlier? There is so much to unpack from this. I want to get to your tweets from last night. There were some great ones about your synopsis of where the Colts are. I want to talk to you folks as well at 239-1070 over the course of today. Stephen Holder's going to join us, and we're going to break down what this does do in terms of the future. But I'm going to get to that next, and why I think it is still the probability that Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard return. And I think that might be the right idea. I'm going to explain what I mean by that, and also a course of action Chris Ballard may have to take. I'll do it all on the other side. You are listening on this Christmas Eve edition, Query & Company, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's Terry Stacy for Cynthia's Hallmark, and this Christmas, give her something she'll treasure forever. The most sought-after jewelry in the country, E. Newton. Timeless, elegant, and designed for everyday wear. And don't forget the classic Ronaldo bracelets, hand-wired with care in New Albany, Indiana, and these gifts are gifts she will truly love. E. Newton and Ronaldo are available only at Cynthia's Hallmark in Greenfield, and if you're looking for relaxation as a gift, explore the Lemon Lavender Collection. Pampering spa day favorites, perfect for anyone who could use a little comfort this season. And you've got to feel the lavender-scented Warm Pals. They're gently weighted, warm or cool, and designed to give that soothing hug-like feeling. Gifts that fit every budget for every person on your list. You'll find just the right presents at Cynthia's Hallmark, including gift cards. Make your holiday giving meaningful, memorable, and magical. Shop locally owned Cynthia's Hallmark, celebrating 40 years. 116th and Allisonville Road, 96th and Lantern Road, 116th and Brook School Road, and in Greenfield.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
Ring in the new year at Royal Pin Entertainment's annual New Year's Eve celebration. Countdown to 2026 with a celebration the whole family will love. Get to Royal Pin from 9 p.m. to midnight on December 31st for 3 hours of fun and family-friendly excitement, including cosmic bowling, a complimentary appetizer board, a midnight toast, and a whole lot more. Each lane fits up to 6 guests. There's plenty of celebration to go around. So bring your friends, bring your family, and roll into 2026 with a bang. Spots fill up fast. Reserve your lane now at royalpin.com.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Royal Pin Entertainment, where fun rolls into the new year.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today. fixmylowt.com.
This is Chris with Absolute Comfort. We just want to thank you and your family for business that you've passed to us this year. Our families appreciate everything that you do for us, and we just want to let you know that if you have needs for your man cave or your she shed or whatever the thing is for a family member that you love, we just ask that you give us a call, and we've got some different ideas for you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Absolute Comfort is your Mitsubishi Electric Elite ductless pro dealer.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
This is James with Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling. Out working during the holidays. I always love getting to customers' houses. They're baking, getting the free cookies or the cakes or things you're going to take home with you. Sometimes you're there helping somebody on Christmas Day, and it becomes a benefit. My wife's like, "Oh, you had to work today," and I don't tell her about the case of cookies I got in the truck that I got while I was at Mrs. Jones's house. So we're here if you need us. You're part of our family.
Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, but super sure. Coming soon.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You know, one of the ways in Indianapolis, there are several traditions in Indianapolis that tell you that Christmas is coming. One of my favorites began in 1947. The bronze cherub that appears magically on the night of Thanksgiving, sitting atop the Ellis Ayres clock at Washington and Meridian to overlook shoppers for the holiday season. Goes without saying, the circle of lights and the Soldiers and Sailors Monument illuminated like the world's largest Christmas tree, a sign of Christmas. The sudden and continued traffic congestion on the north side throughout some of the shopping areas, a sign that Christmas is here. And the slight ringing in the bells in the distance of those from the Salvation Army and the Radiothon for our sister station at WIBC and Mel McMahon and their team and Denny Crum and or Denny Smith, excuse me, and in the old days, Dick Crum there, and Pat Sullivan and Terry Stacy and all of them. All signs of Christmas in Indianapolis. And another sign of Christmas in Indianapolis is you wonder what the heck happened to the Colts defense. Because this is now repeated years that a defense that looked promising suddenly collapses, which is exactly what it was last night, a collapse. And that looked like players that didn't want to be there. Is there resentment that they look at, and I know Anthony Richardson's been hurt, so you really can't pointed to that. And Riley Leonard's a young player. I don't think that there was resentment of them going out and plucking a 44-year-old off and just putting him in there and making him the straw mixing the drink. I don't think that was the case because that offense looked good and those receivers were playing for him. And he has an energy that you could tell guys respected. So it would be irresponsible of me to point to that. But here is where I think things go from here, or what has to be analyzed. And yes, we're going there with 2 games left. We're now talking about the offseason. They still have a shot. I get it. But look in this town at the hierarchy of the way franchises are run. And I'll begin from the Pacers side. And there's a reason I'm going to do it that way. So bear with me here. You know, forever, the Pacers were run from a general management or front office standpoint by Donnie Walsh. Long standing. And when Donnie Walsh was ready to retire or move on, he brought in Larry Bird and handed things over, not unlike when Gene Cady kind of handed things over to Matt Painter, and Painter was the assistant coach, head coach in waiting. Bird was brought in at first under the tutelage of Donnie Walsh, and then there was this slow transition, almost to like where for the fan base and media, it was confusing as to which one was the one truly calling the shots. But that was kind of by design, because Donnie Walsh and Larry Bird had a great relationship with one another, but they didn't want to just immediately correct and jerk the wheel. So it was a smooth transition from one executive to the next, and that executive being able to then see and get a better feel as to how things run. And then Larry Bird, Donnie eventually retires, then leaves, goes to New York. Now, he did come back, but Larry Bird then hires Kevin Pritchard, guy he knew from their days playing together. Kevin had been in Portland, and Kevin Pritchard comes in, and Donnie Walsh is in New York, and Larry Bird is the president of basketball operations, and Kevin Pritchard is the general manager, or he might have been president, but you get what I'm saying. He was working underneath Larry. Then Donnie's brought back as a consultant, and things slowly transition from Larry into Kevin Pritchard. Larry Bird is kept around as a consultant, and he's there, and Kevin Pritchard knows that he has the ability to reach out to not one but 2 predecessors if there are questions. And he brings in Chad Buchanan. And now, Donnie completely retired. Larry Bird still listed, I think, by title as consultant, but for all intent and purposes in Florida, away from it. And Kevin Pritchard, remarkable job. And Chad Buchanan, now very active as the general manager. Each time that they have had to make a move, there has been somebody to guide and hold the hand for a slow transition, and it's allowed for continuity. And it's allowed for the Pacers, for the most part, to maintain a level of competitiveness within their league, in a league that is designed really for the most part, for bigger market, bigger franchise, et cetera. I know Oklahoma City's obviously done a remarkable job. If you look at the Colts, each time that they have made those similar transitions, and the NFL is different, I realize, but they have gone from Bill Tobin running things to a firing, and then boom, here's Bill Polian. Long-standing, and we've gone over before whether or not the NFL was involved in the bringing of Bill Polian. That's discussion for a past day. But Bill Polian runs it beautifully, runs it like a well-oiled machine, has the Colts at the top of the league. And then, boom, immediate hard correct. Go away from Bill Polian and into Ryan Grigson. Young guy, looking for a shot, eager, hungry. Boom. Go from that to the next in Chris Ballard. But you didn't have any sort of, each one of those guys had, and I don't know the relationship between Bill Polian and Bill Tobin, but each time there was not a link or a transition in a smooth nature from one to the next. But there was, because Jim Irsay was there. And Jim Irsay was the one that was facilitating and guiding through these changes. And so he was the one still that was the voice that was going to have say and direction of direction. And he is no longer there. Rest his soul. But Jim Irsay is no longer actively, obviously, with the franchise. And so, therefore, his daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon, inherits that responsibility. And having nothing to do with her gender or the jobs that she's held or anything else, but her age alone says that she may know that she doesn't have the experience that her father had when you did the transition into Ryan Grigson, or that her father had when you made the transition even from, and I'd have to look up Irsay's age when they brought in Polian, but again, there were some other circumstances in play there. But my point being, I think it would be totally rational, totally respectable, and totally understandable for Carly Irsay Gordon to say, I am still myself mixing into everything that goes into this, and there is familiarity of the same page with Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard, to me, is the known. And all of this in the last year is still enough of an unknown that I need some known around me. And in addition to that, Carly Irsay Gordon has to know or has to understand or has to realize, if in fact, and I mentioned this yesterday, we are a franchise now that is looking at a decade without multiple playoff wins in the same season. We are a franchise now that does not have a first-round pick in the upcoming draft. We're a franchise that does not have a first-round pick in the draft after that. We're a franchise that doesn't have under contract a quarterback that has started the majority of games for us in any season the last handful of years from an effective standpoint. And the guy that we expect to be our quarterback next year is coming off of a significant injury. And someone said this perfectly to me. This season might feel like it went down the drain because of an Achilles tendon, but in reality, it went down the drain because of the Achilles heel, which is the same thing that continues to hurt the franchise, and that's lack of execution and depth on the defensive side or belief in where it is that they want to go. But who wants to come in and handle all of that other than somebody? You're not going to get a tenured and experienced veteran leader probably that wants to come in and run the franchise, but rather another upstart guy looking for a break. And the problem is, if you take in an upstart general manager looking for a break, he's going to then have to lean on someone for just overall experience. And yet Carly Irsay Gordon probably is looking for that same thing to lean on from the general manager, which is why it would make sense to me that Chris Ballard would return. But he may have to take a page out of Ryan Grigson's book. And the numbers say it makes sense. And I'll explain what I mean next.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Hey, it's Jake Query. I've been talking a lot about winning football in Indy lately, but how about winning lunch? You could lose lunch with an overpriced sandwich meal or average greasy fast food, but why would you want to do that? It's so easy to win with lunch with Chicago's Pizza. Right now, the Chicago's Pizza team is prepping fresh ingredients and freshly made crust ready to bake right before you arrive. You can get deep dish pizza, traditional pizza. You can choose thin or crispy crust. All amazing. And you can add a large healthy salad with homemade ranch dressing from the salad bar, hot fresh made breadsticks with marinara or cheese sauce, a fountain drink and dessert pizza. And you have a winning lunch right there at a great price. It's fresh and delicious, all for just $13 all in. This is a no-brainer deal. Get in, get great food, and get out fast. It's Chicago's Pizza all in $13 lunch buffet. Get it weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 18 Indiana area locations, 25 statewide. Find the closest location near you at chicagospizza.com. Be a winner at lunch at Chicago's.
107.5 The Fan and Franciscan Health present Good for the Heart Fridays. Listen to Jake Query every Friday to hear a heartwarming story from our local community. Jake knows firsthand the importance of heart health. Jake and The Fan have teamed up with Franciscan Health to make a difference, one beat at a time. Good for the Heart Fridays, brought to you by Franciscan Health Heart Center. Learn proactive measures to keep your heart healthy and schedule your heart scan at franciscanhealth.org/screening bundles.
Hi, I'm Andy, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. As a product development manager, I make sure every piece of fine jewelry at Shane Company is meticulously designed for quality. From 14-karat gold chains, pearl necklaces, diamond studs, and of course, dream engagement rings. We know you can get your holiday gifts anywhere these days, but knowing your loved one's gift was crafted by master jewelers? It's a difference everyone can see and feel, no matter the price. All of our fine jewelry begins with a vision by our in-house designers. Then, we ensure each piece meets our high-quality standards every step of the way, including the smallest details. It's why our jewelry comes with our all-inclusive, free lifetime warranty that covers everything and doesn't cost a dime. At Shane Company, there's no shortcuts, just craftsmanship. Because a friend wants your fine jewelry to be nothing short of perfect. Come see for yourself. Visit us in-store or at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
If you or someone you know needs help putting food on the table, that help is closer than you think. The Fan cares. We've partnered with local food banks and organizations to provide resources for those who need them. Just go to 1075thefan.com and look for the banner that says Find Free Food near you. You'll find a link to Community Compass with an up-to-date and interactive map that shows locations, days, and times for you to collect food at no cost, as well as other resources to help you through this challenging time. Find community help now at 1075thefan.com.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, or weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss at 5:30 p.m., stop smoking at 8. And January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
This is Kevin and Kim at Reinhardt Heating and Cooling. This holiday season, your home comfort is our business. We are here to keep your family warm and comfortable, just like we have for 40 years.
We appreciate your business throughout the year, and we are always here if you need us. From our entire Reinhardt Heating and Cooling family, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Keeping you warm in Danville, Avon, Heritage Lake, and all of Hendricks County, Reinhardt Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
The Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Miami Hurricanes in the Cotton Bowl tomorrow night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Maybe that's what the Colts should have done. I liked the Indiana Knights uniforms. They were cool. And don't think I didn't notice that they're now suddenly using the subtle Indiana logo within the helmet just at the time that there's another team flirting with the state. Bears ain't coming here. But maybe they should have just gone with the home white uniforms, and even though I realize they're kind of like road uniforms, and gone with that for Christmas. Because what it was last night wasn't working. Simply wasn't working. Okay. I believe that Chris Ballard may well be back next year. These things are fluid. I get it. And Stephen Holder, who's going to join us in about 10 minutes, pointed out that, yes, maybe that is not as certain as it was before the game last night. You know what I mean? I mean, it was that bad because that looked like a team mailed in. That looked like a team that didn't want to, it had no heart. No heart. I mean, they needed it at halftime. It wasn't orange slices that were passed out for the Colts last night. It was an oil tin because they were all the tin man. No heart, at least defensively. Offensively, I got no problems with the offense. I thought Alec Pierce was outstanding. I thought Phillip Rivers. At one point, J&V will vouch for me on this. The second throw to Pierce, the touchdown, I turned around to J&V and I go, he's going to touchdown right here to Pierce. And I said in the corner and it was over the middle, but still. And I heard, Bucket Aikman talking about Jonathan Taylor not really able to get him going in the form that you want. But here's where Chris Ballard may be. And it would be beautiful for him because it buys him another 4 years. But we might be here. Crazy as it sounds to bring this up, this may be where we are. When Ryan Grigson took over the Indianapolis Colts as a general manager, and you had question mark at what to do at the quarterback because of the Peyton Manning situation. And then obviously we know what happened there. And they knew they were drafting Andrew Luck. And Ryan Grigson looked at it and just said, you know what? Here's the decision I've got to make. I have players on the roster that are approaching or over the age of 30. And I have a quarterback that is at the start line. And I don't want staggered stuff. I want same page stuff. And Dallas Clark was 32. And Ryan Deem was 32. And Dwight Freeney was 31. And Gary Brackett, I can't remember if Gary Brackett was still there, but he would have been in his early 30s. If you look at the roster right now, the age of what the Colts roster is going to be next year, and this is where it gets significant. Jonathan Taylor will be 27. Okay, prime. Michael Pittman Jr. will be 29 and having come off, back problems and surgery. Mo Alley Cox will be 33. Quentin Nelson will be 30. Bernard Ryman will be 29, believe it or not. Hard to believe. DeForest Buckner will be 32. Jermaine Pratt will be 30. Zaire Franklin will be 30. And that is a year where you're waiting to find out just how strong the Achilles is going to be for Daniel Jones, or perhaps whether or not Anthony Richardson is your guy. But all indication is they are totally out on Richardson. That's over. It's over. And so you are next year almost like the Pacers are going through this year. Next year almost feels like it could be a gap year for the Colts because I know that Daniel Jones, the optimism, the thought, the belief, the hope, all of that is that he's ready to go by, say, September. But that's ready to go in terms of full speed practice. Right? And so then you get into, okay, you go through the year to find out who and what Jones is at that point, and then where do you go from there? It may be in the best interest of Chris Ballard to blow it up. It might be in the best interest of Carly Ursay-Gordon to blow it up in the front office, but I already went over all that, why that may not be as simple as it sounds. But for Chris Ballard, if he can convince them, and at this point, one would assume that he can sell like ice to an Eskimo or, ketchup-flavored popsicles to people in Miami in white suits because he continues to get this amount of time. So if he can sell them on it, maybe it is time for not a complete and total reset, but a pretty clear one. because they're Grover Stewart will be 33 years old. And 32 probably is around the magic number where then guys start to regress a little bit. Injuries start to step in. And one thing we've learned from this franchise is that injuries are literally the kryptonite of the Colts. Other franchises seem to overcome them. Other franchises seem to stay the course and then find their way back by having other players that can come in. But for whatever reason, the area that Chris Ballard, and what I've always said about Chris Ballard, give him credit for this. He tells you what he's going to do. Oftentimes after a draft, Chris Ballard sits up there and you're like, you know what? He pretty much said that's where they were going. Or in decisions they make, oftentimes I'll give the guy a ton of credit. He's pretty honest. And we naturally, cynically assume that there is like some sort of cryptic message being said. But when he does his state of the team messages, usually he's pretty honest. And one area where he was pretty honest was when he said the thing that most holds him back from sleeping at night when thinking about building a team is how to find depth. He's never been more accurate. Because that's the thing that continues to hold them back. They don't have the depth. Last night, they didn't have the depth, and they didn't have the effort. That defense, that was putrid. Jim Mora will tell you what the defense looked like last night. Afterwards, Jim Mora, who had his famous rant against the Niners, Jim Mora on last night's performance defensively. Agreed. Yeah, hard to argue that. Stephen Holder, ESPN.com, joins us next.
This is the Fan Morning Show.
Ross Tucker, are you under the belief or think the Colts should bring everybody back, including Daniel Jones, for 2026?
I am. That's not to say that there shouldn't be some tweaks. I honestly think they have a really good team. Buckner doesn't get hurt. If Gardner doesn't get hurt, I would try to keep the band together as much as possible. I think it's better than whatever other alternatives would be out there.
It's the Fan Morning Show. Weekday mornings on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Baseball great Lou Gehrig was known as the Iron Horse for playing 2,130 consecutive games. But it was his reaction to his greatest challenge, the fatal diagnosis of ALS, that made Gehrig a household name and a beacon of strength for all those facing the disease. The Live Like Lou Foundation honors Lou's legacy and inspires hope for a world where ALS is no longer fatal. Donate or volunteer today at livelikelou.org.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This Christmas, get a bonus AI Essentials course when you enroll in any My Computer Career IT program by the end of the year. That's a $3,900 value. Attend classes online or on campus. Enjoy lifetime job placement support and IT certifications in high demand. Go to mycomputercareer.edu today and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Conditions apply to AI offer and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
Ring in the the new year at Royal Pin Entertainment's annual New Year's Eve celebration. Countdown to 2026 with a celebration the whole family will love. Get to Royal Pin from 9 p.m. to midnight on December 31st for 3 hours of fun and family-friendly excitement, including cosmic bowling, a complimentary appetizer board, a midnight toast, and a whole lot more. Each lane fits up to 6 guests. There's plenty of celebration to go around. So bring your friends, bring your family, and roll into 2026 with a bang. Spots fill up fast. Reserve your lane now at royalpin.com.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Royal Pin Entertainment, where fun rolls into the new year.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin, bowling.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at BofA.com/cardFWC26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Christmas is just around the corner, and if you still have gifts to buy, the best place to do that is Macy's Great Gift Sale. Get amazing deals on last-minute gifts, like fine jewelry and fragrance sets, boxed and ready to give. And everything from designer bags to Nespresso coffee makers at 30 to 60% off. Plus, your Macy's is the most festive place this holiday. So come in and find everything left on your list all in one place. The Great Gift Sale ends Wednesday at Macy's. Savings off select prices. Exclusions apply.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience, the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com. Hook her up this holiday season. Shopping for her dream engagement ring or a beautiful piece of jewelry. See my friends at Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel, the city's best selection of fine jewelry. Tell them JMV sent you.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BP, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
The Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Miami Hurricanes in the Cotton Bowl. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
There are 3 that any member of the Colts defense can blame for last night's loss. Me, myself, and I. And I don't mean me, I mean they, as they are looking in the mirror on the wall, like De La Soul once said. I thought personally last night that was a defensive effort that was void of soul altogether. No soul, no heart, no effort. And Brock Purdy was able to just stand. And like I said, it was like watching one of the Colts training camp practices where you sit there and you think, oh, man, this quarterback looks unbelievable. And then your buddy sitting next to you goes, there's no defense out there, man. It's a walkthrough. It's what it looked like last night. I thought it was a horrific performance defensively, and the Colts once again, I'm going to keep using the line somebody said to me, perfect. In a year that we thought was all about an Achilles tendon, actually it's their Achilles heel that once again did them in. A defense that was non-existent down the home stretch. Joining me now and feeling free to disagree with any of that if he so chooses is Stephen Holder on the Java House Peel and Port guest line. Jake25 for 25% off at javahouse.com and Stephen Holder of ESPN.com. Stephen, I thought that was the worst Colts defensive performance of the year, if not the last 2. Your thoughts?
That was epically bad, yeah. I like that Achilles heel little thing there. I think that's exactly true. I thought it was the defensive effort felt like, I'm trying to think of a reference point, a little bit like that Jacksonville game to end the 2021 season, maybe. That comes to mind. That was the whole team that day, but I think just defensively, like no one made a play, no one made a stop. It's going to go down as, I think, one of the more memorable or maybe forgettable defensive performances in a long time around here. I mean, it felt like they had nothing to play for at times, and that was just really disappointing. And I get it. Like, those cornerbacks out there, I'm going to be honest with you, man, they're awful. They're awful, all right? They shouldn't be out there. They're practice squad level guys. and that is what it is. So they had nothing really to work with there. But at some point, you got to compete. You got to fight, and they didn't do that.
But Stephen, here's the thing. You know, it's a chicken and egg thing, I realize. But when you have corners that are inexperienced or young or old or whatever it may be, you can sometimes offset that if you get any pass rush whatsoever. And they had none. None. He had all day. I mean, you could have had – their corners last night could have been Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson or Deion Sanders, and they would have eventually broken down because there was – Purdy had all day. To me, why is it that the Colts seemingly are the last franchise in the NFL to figure out pass rush?
Well, I don't know how to answer that question, I guess is what I'm saying. But I don't think I'm surprised by it. I think we knew that this pass rush was going to be largely contingent on all these guys, contributing across the board, because they didn't have that one guy who could just go get it and take over a game. And the problem is that it's been too intermittent among the whole group. So, like, you might get one guy that goes off and has a good night on one night, but you're not getting that from an across-the-board effort, and that's what it was going to take. They said this was going to be a group where its sum was greater than its parts. I mean, I think they have two primary parts that could individually, maybe threaten to take over a game, and that's DeForest Buckner, who just got back from an injury that was a really bad injury, more than people realize. And then the other one is Laiatu Latu, who I think has had a fine season. Like, he's going to end up with like 8 or 9 sacks or something. I think it's fine. But that's a guy who is a complimentary guy with a good group around him. He's not going to take over the game. And so they just haven't had enough. Like, it's too intermittent from those guys, and it didn't work as planned.
Stephen, I'm going to ask you about some people, and I want you to tell me, well, I mean, I'll ask specifics about them, I guess, okay? I'll begin with this. Do you believe that Phillip Rivers, will Phillip Rivers start 2 more games?
I think they lose to the Jaguars, and he probably does not start week 18. That's total speculation, but that's my thought right now.
Okay. Does Anthony Richardson get snaps this season?
I say no.
If Riley Leonard, I guess Phillip Rivers would be there technically, right? I mean, they're not going to have Phillip Rivers. He's not going to pack up his stuff with a week left and head home, right? He'll be on the sidelines at the very least, right?
I would presume he'd stick around and help.
He's not going to be Kerry Collins.
Whoever else is there, yeah. I mean, that's my assumption, yeah.
Okay. The Shane Steichen. Do you believe that Shane Steichen returns next year?
Wow. I felt before last night, I would have told you 80% chance. Maybe 85. I still think it's likely, but I just think that if you lose 7 in a row down the stretch, I don't think anybody is truly safe. So I say probably, but odds are diminishing with every loss.
Chris Ballard.
Same answer. I just as an observer, okay, look, I'm not promising anybody anything here, but just as an observer, looking at what I see every day and being in that building every day, I think Carly Ursay-Gordon has been on board with their plan, okay, for the most part, and it endorsed the things that they have done and want to do. But the question then becomes, at what point, if at some point, does she lose faith in that plan and their ability to execute that plan? The question is, are we there yet? And I don't know, because I will say this. This season, it breaks all the rules of analysis. There is no rational analysis you can apply to this season that makes sense. I've never seen a season like this. And that's not a defense. I'm just telling you that this is maybe terrible for talk radio, but like, this is the most nuanced situation I've maybe ever seen. You have 2 seasons in one, a 7-1 team on the front end, and then on the back end, a team that can't win a game. I have never seen anything like it. And I'm not begrudging people from being mad as hell and wanting a head on a platter. I get all that. I mean, I see the tweets. People are, they're angry as hell. But I also got to say, like, this is, we got to take a step back and figure out what the hell is this, right? What happened here? And I think Carly Ursay, Gordon in particular, is that kind of person. She's going to take a step back, and she's not going to make a rash decision because that's who she is. So I'm explaining it to you as she will analyze it.
I look at it this way, Stephen, and here's what I've said, and I want you to tell me if you think that they're, if you could see it this way. I lean towards thinking that Chris Ballard returns and also understanding why he would return for twofold. Number one, theoretically, the only people that would be interested, and I get it, a job as a general manager in the National Football League is incredibly coveted. But those that would most be willing to take that on probably are those that are still, that's a dream job because it's an ascension for them. They've not done it before. And because you don't have a first-round pick for the next 2 years, you don't have total stability at quarterback, and there's still a lot of question marks. And so, therefore, Carly Ursay-Gordon, I think, would know that she probably, if she's replacing Chris Ballard, would be replacing him not only with an unknown for her, but with somebody who the position itself is the unknown. And I think that's a double-edged sword she doesn't want to go into. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. I would say also that I think the appeal of the job, it wouldn't be as appealing as people think. And here's why, because I don't know what people think, but I don't know that the job would be that appealing because I look at Jacksonville and I get like Jacksonville, they rebooted this year, and Jacksonville was a very interesting situation. I don't think anybody looked at that job and said, well, that's the job. No one said that. However, you could at least talk yourself into saying, all right, we got some assets, some money, and we have a quarterback that if we can figure it out with this guy, I mean, you're a Clemson guy, right? I mean, we know his pedigree, right? If he could just figure it out. And now he's playing the best ball we've seen him play. That possibility was always there. Here, I mean, are you really, if you blow this up and you bring in new leadership, head coach, general manager, are you going back to Daniel Jones? Are they rubber stamping that new leadership? Are they rubber stamping Daniel Jones off an Achilles injury? Or are you dropping a nuclear bomb on this entire building and starting over, and you are one of the worst teams in the NFL next year? You want that job? Go for it, buddy. But right. I think that's where they are. That's where they are. If they reboot, and that's why I think she tries one more time.
I think, Stephen.
That's what I think.
Listen, I would understand if Chris Ballard himself says, you know what, and I just got done laying this all out, Stephen. Next season, in next season there is question. I mean, we're assuming Daniel Jones comes back to Indianapolis, okay? And I think I get it, but. And now his price tag maybe is not as expensive as it would have been elsewise. But you bring back Daniel Jones and you are assuming that you have same player Daniel Jones and that you have it by, say, October. Well, at that point, you got Jonathan Taylor, who would be 27. Pittman would be approaching 30. Mo Alley Cox over 30. Nelson approaching 30. Ryman approaching 30 at that point. DeForest Buckner. So does Ballard, if it's Ballard, come back and say, look, I'm coming back, but I understand I've got to do not a control alt delete complete reset, but at the very least like the Apple reboot and wait for the image to come back up. They're gonna have they can't go through this with the same roster theoretically. Am I wrong?
Well, I think there would have to be like some significant tweaks. I don't think it's a reboot necessarily. I think defense, you're tweaking, maybe substantially tweaking. But you also still have some core guys. I mean, your offensive line is intact. You have a good offensive line to work with. I think even if we don't see Braden Smith return, I think you have a young group there. I like Jalen Travis a lot. I think he is a legitimate fundamental piece moving forward. For example, at tackle, he's played right tackle and left tackle in the past 2 weeks, right? So you have some pieces, some young pieces, but you also have some veterans that I think that you'd retain. And then you're hoping that you can get Sauce Gardner to play like Sauce Gardner, for example. I think the difference between them being a viable team that could win a playoff game and what you see right now, I don't think it's actually that much if you have good quarterback play, which assumes a lot about Daniel Jones' health, right? But it's not that far away. But the things you're counting on are really important pieces that we have to discuss. Like, is Daniel Jones going to be Daniel Jones? What is the situation with Charvarius Ward, for example, right? I mean, if all these guys are out there and that you have the team that Chris Ballard intended to put out there, I love that team. I do. I like that team a lot. That's the team that was 7-1. And I get you can talk about competition. I don't give a damn. They were one of the best teams in the NFL. They were beating people by 21 points. That's a great team, right? So I think it makes more sense. It might make more sense for them to try one more time to see if they can recreate that than to blow it up and have a 2-year rebuild with no quarterback, which is a road to nowhere, frankly.
Let's say, hypothetically, Stephen Holder's my guest. He's on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. JavaHouse.com, by the way, the website for Java House. Stephen, let's just say hypothetically that Daniel Jones, I mean, knock on wood here. I'm not going to say he has a setback. I don't want to put that in the universe. Let's say Daniel Jones comes and says, look, guys, I feel good, but my timing's just a little off. I need another month at the beginning of the year. And Anthony Richardson
we can just say it's a tough injury. We don't even have
correct.
To create a situation, right? It's a tough injury.
It is. And so Anthony Richardson is the curveball in all of this. Do you believe Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard are 100% on the same page when it comes to Anthony Richardson?
Not really. I think Shane Steichen moved on from Anthony Richardson last year when he benched him. Period. That's what I think. Now, he didn't. They didn't trade him. They didn't publicly, say that we're moving on from him for good. They said all those. They said the opposite of that, actually, right? But you benched your 4th overall pick, halfway through his second season. I mean, what are we talking about here, right? Like, what are we talking about? I think it was clear as day at that point.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Richardson there's just so many variables there, Stephen, right? Because I think that they would have liked to have the opportunity at the very least to showcase a little bit of him for his trade value purpose. And now you don't even have that being the case. Somebody asked me this question, and I thought it was an interesting question, and you feel free to tell me if it's the dumbest one you've ever heard, but I thought it was an interesting question. If Anthony Richardson now is in a situation where vision prohibits him from moving forward at all as an NFL player, could there be a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the device that snapped his eye?
No idea. I don't think so. I don't think that's something that's even been discussed. I would also say, so that would be my answer. First of all, I don't think anything like that has been discussed that I'm aware of. Now, I would also add that the vision issue is not unexpected. Like, it was a problem from the beginning. In that right eye, as I understand it, when this incident occurred, he had very limited, if any, vision in that right eye because of the swelling and the trauma and all of that, right? So it was explained to him that over time this will come back and be back to normal. So my understanding, and I think the assumption, is that he is still on that track and it is continually improving. I mean, we've seen him in practice throwing the ball around during individual drills, and he's throwing it fine. He doesn't look like someone who is blind in an eye, So I have to assume that he has, number one, he has come a long way in terms of the vision correcting itself. And number two, I think that process continues. So I don't believe there's a lot of concern that it won't come back to allow him to play at an NFL level, but it's not like we can just rubber stamp anything when you talk about vision and a quarterback.
Steven, am I too cynical when I say that I looked last night at a defense that looked to me like their coaches lost them?
I mean, cynical doesn't sound like you at all, but I would say I was very shocked by it. I would tell you that. And
to what would you attribute it? If that was the case, to what would we attribute it?
I don't know. I mean, certainly, talent was a factor. There's no question about that. From what I know of Lou Anarumo and how they feel about him, and the fact that he's very well respected, I don't think it boiled down to he's lost them, just because I would be surprised by that. But at the same time, to take your cynicism into account and to give it some validity, if you didn't know any better and you watched that, I mean, that's a fair question, right? Like these guys hate their coach, clearly. That's what it looks like, right? I don't know, man. I think you just wrong time, wrong time, or excuse me, wrong place, wrong time against the wrong team. Kyle Shanahan just, in his bag, those corners overmatched and no pass rush, and it can just unravel really quickly. It really can. It really can. And that's what you saw last night.
Stephen Holder's my guest, ESPN.com, where you can read his work. Stephen, what are your Christmas plans, by the way?
Not much. I mean, just the usual, buy other people gifts and, watch them enjoy them,
When you were a kid, what is the Christmas gift that you look back upon now that you most literally each year when you're a kid, there's like one thing you want, right? You're like, oh my gosh, like I'm asked Santa for it. I'm all in. Yeah. What is the one thing more than anything else that you had the strongest desire to ever get for a Christmas?
Okay, so I would say 2 different years. I would say a couple of things. Number one, I wanted a BMX bike. I don't remember how old I was, but I wanted a BMX bike, and I got it. I think it was a Huffy, probably a Huffy, right? I think, we're same age range. You probably had one.
Totally,
right?
Yep.
For sure. So, and of course, I am from South Florida. So in my time, my childhood at least, in sunny Florida, Christmas Day, everybody wanted a bike. So Christmas afternoon, you're out there riding bikes. That was the thing. So I got that bike one year. And then I think there was another year I wanted the G.I. Joe, I think it was the F-14 jet. I think I remember getting that one year, and that was like the best because G.I. Joe was like that was the show at the time, the cartoon. If you've not seen G.I. Joe, for those whippersnappers out there, then I don't know, go find you the YouTube.com.
Did you get the bike and the G.I. Joe? Did Santa deliver?
I did. These were separate years, but Santa was good to me. Yeah, came through.
So what we know is Santa was not a 2025 Colts defender because when the holiday season came, Santa delivered, right?
Right. Well, although I could argue that they were actually in the giving spirit, that defense. So
that is a good way of saying it. That is an excellent point. Yes, that's a very good point. Has Alec Pierce played himself into big money elsewhere and perhaps even looking at the situation and saying, why would I stay here if I can go into a situation with a quarterback that I know who it's going to be week in and week out?
Okay, well, the thing we know for sure is that he has played himself into big money. I think this is maybe not the most popular thing to say around the Colts facility, but I think he is the Colts' number 1 receiver. Yes, I said it, okay? And people can do whatever they want with that information. So I think he's the most versatile receiver they have for sure. And so I would say that's worth a lot. He is going to be very valuable, and it's going to cost a lot more than people maybe even realize, I believe. Now, he loves Indianapolis. He loves Daniel Jones. But the question becomes, what does that look like next year? Who's leading the team? Who's signing the players? Who's the quarterback? How committed to re-signing Alec Pierce are they? All those questions, I think, are still on the table. I will tell you that there have been discussions between Alec Pierce's representation in the Colts in the past, and the indication was that we probably can't afford him. Now, that was before this season, before he took over and became the player that he has been. So his value now to them might be such that they have to go beyond what they wanted to spend. But I don't know. It's too early to really predict how any of that is going to go. But he has definitely played himself into a massive contract.
Okay, lastly, Stephen, here we go. Santa's flying around right now, right? And
you would think.
Well, it's amazing. I think he does a lot of it just in the one night, right? I mean, although
true. We're 2 days out. Yeah.
He's got to be now. Australia's ahead of us, right? So he's got to be. He's got to be headed down.
Like it's going to be Christmas Eve somewhere.
Yeah, he's heading down there pretty soon here. So let's just say that the Waze is really good for him, and he avoids some traffic jams and whatever else. So he arrives to Indianapolis a little bit early. And he is then able to visit the home of the following people and ask them specifically, I am Santa. I am capable of it all. So I am going to deliver but I'm Santa. So little boys and girls, I know if you're lying. I know if you're naughty. I know if you're nice. So if you tell me something and you're lying, I'm going to know it. So you got to be completely transparent. It's like a spell of transparency he puts on these people. But he's going to stop by the house of a couple of people, and once they're over their shock, he's going to ask them, what is it in regards to your profession that you need me to deliver for you down the chimney? We will begin with Chris Ballard. What does Chris Ballard ask him to deliver?
Man, health for his team. Health.
Okay.
Because he signed a lot of players for a lot of money, and a lot of them didn't play.
Now, the other thing, too, is Santa, as jolly and as wonderful as Santa is, and he has the ability to bring you a BMX bike in the middle of Florida. Santa's wonderful, and he's a miracle worker. Right. But Santa also, unbeknownst to many people, Santa does have one nitpick rule where when he talks to people that know one another, they can't ask for the same thing. He can only deliver it to one per person, right? So, therefore, he goes to Shane Steichen's house, and he says, Shane Steichen, what would you like? What does Shane Steichen say?
A franchise quarterback. And I don't know if they have that guy or not, but he wants a franchise quarterback.
Okay.
Because he can sure get to 500 with any old quarterback, but that's not the goal.
Carly Ursay-Gordon.
A new team? No. That's a great question. I don't know. I think she wants wins. She asks for wins. That's what. Because she's a competitor, and I think ultimately that is going to have to guide her. And so she and Santa will have to powwow and figure out how to get that done, I think.
Okay, what about this? Santa says, I can deliver you the wins, young Carly. But in doing so, I've got to make some changes within the building itself. Is Carly cool with that?
I think she is, yes. Because that's ultimately the goal.
You know what I think Carly Ursay-Gordon would ask for?
What's that?
Guitars, because she just sold all of them. She doesn't have any left. She just needs a guitar, right? I don't think they've sold them yet, though, right?
So my understanding is that they are with the auction house. So, there's a big pile of guitars sitting somewhere about to get sold for a whole lot of money.
Do you think there are people that are like thinking they're going to be sneaky? Like, you know what? I'm going to get on that thing when nobody else is looking, and I'm going to swipe away Prince's guitar for $225.
Good luck.
I try doing that with watches. Like every once in a while, I get on something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally in the running for this, vintage watch. And then at the 11th hour, all of a sudden I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. Now I see what happened. Everybody else is keen to it. They're waiting until the 11th hour.
I think that's going to be the case here. Yeah. I think, and I also believe ultimately they would like to sell this thing in mass. I don't think that's going to be possible, but certainly like maybe pieces of it not individually, but like, hey, here's 25 amazing historic guitars or something. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well, Steven, I know you have.
Listen. It's got to be worth at least a couple good contracts, I would think.
You would think,
there's
right?
That.
Steven, you have a son and a daughter, both adults living elsewhere, correct?
Son is, but daughter's still 16. So yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was thinking she was away at college.
Soon enough.
But who's counting? Either way, my point being, I certainly hope that everybody is able to be under one roof when Santa does bring everything and eats the cookies. And you mentioned health for the Colts, health to you and your family as well for a safe and prosperous, not only Christmas, but New Year as well. I do appreciate all the time that you lend to this radio station over the course of the year.
All right. Well, same to you and yours, and you know where to find me in the new year.
Yeah, at a Pacer game, right? That's where.
Well, that we can that can be arranged. That's right.
All right, Stephen, appreciate it. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to you.
All right, see you soon.
All right, Stephen Holder, who joins us. And again, we'll probably talk to him between now and New Year's, I guess. But no show tomorrow or on Christmas Day on this radio station. We will be back with everybody on Friday. When we do return, some great submissions last night after the Colts defense basically submitted. Then it was, and yes, there's Pacers news to get to speaking of that, but I want to get into the comments that people shared with me of when I asked 15 words or fewer, your thoughts on the Colts season. Some great answers. I'll share them with you next.
This is James with Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling. Out working during the holidays, I always love getting to customers' houses, their bacon, getting the free cookies or the cakes or things you're going to take home with you. Sometimes you're either helping somebody on Christmas Day and it becomes a benefit. My wife's like, "Oh, you had to work today," and I don't tell her about the case of cookies I got in the truck that I got while I was at Mrs. Jones's house. So we're here if you need us. You're part of our family.
Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's Terry Stacy for Cynthia's Hallmark, and this Christmas, give her something she'll treasure forever. The most sought-after jewelry in the country, E. Newton. Timeless, elegant, and designed for everyday wear. And don't forget the classic Ronaldo bracelets, hand-wired with care in New Albany, Indiana, and these gifts are gifts she will truly love. E. Newton and Ronaldo are available only at Cynthia's Hallmark in Greenfield, and if you're looking for relaxation as a gift, explore the Lemon Lavender Collection. Pampering spa day favorites, perfect for anyone who could use a little comfort this season. And you've got to feel the lavender-scented Warm Pals. They're gently weighted, warm or cool, and designed to give that soothing hug-like feeling. Gifts that fit every budget for every person on your list. You'll find just the right presents at Cynthia's Hallmark, including gift cards. Make your holiday giving meaningful, memorable, and magical. Shop locally owned Cynthia's Hallmark, celebrating 40 years. 116th and Allisonville Road, 96th and Lantern Road, 116th and Brook School Road, and in Greenfield.
Hey, it's Jake Query. I've been talking a lot about winning football in Indy lately, but how about winning lunch? You could lose lunch with an overpriced sandwich meal or average greasy fast food, but why would you want to do that? It's so easy to win with lunch with Chicago's Pizza. Right now, the Chicago's Pizza team is prepping fresh ingredients and freshly made crust ready to bake right before you arrive. You can get deep dish pizza, traditional pizza. You can choose thin or crispy crust, all amazing. And you can add a large healthy salad with homemade ranch dressing from the salad bar, hot fresh made breadsticks with marinara or cheese sauce, a fountain drink and dessert pizza. And you have a winning lunch right there at a great price. It's fresh and delicious, all for just $13 all in. This is a no-brainer deal. Get in, get great food, and get out fast. It's Chicago's Pizza all-in $13 lunch buffet. Get it weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 18 Indiana area locations, 25 statewide. Find the closest location near you at chicagospizza.com. Be a winner at lunch at Chicago.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis, guaranteed only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Hypnosis Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. And Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Are you like everybody else in the world who has no idea what to get everyone for the holidays? Well, you're in luck. We got you. Hands-free Skechers slip-ins. Because with hands-free Skechers slip-ins, you just step into them and they're on. There's no bending down, no touching, no fuss. Plus, Skechers slip-ins come in everyone's favorite styles and colors. And you can get slip-ins everywhere stylish footwear is sold, including a Skechers store. Or if you're too busy to shop in person, just get them online at Skechers.com, Amazon, and more.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at BofA.com/cardFWC26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Get ready for heel-tapping fun as you discover the new $2 Wizard of Oz scratch-off from the Hoosier Lottery. With 4 unique scenes and prizes up to $10,000, the Emerald City awaits. From the Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Play responsibly. The Fan cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at 1075thefan.com.
Macy's Backstage is inside your Macy's store where you can find last-minute gifts for under $20. With new arrivals every day, you never know what amazing deals you'll find. Find a location at macysbackstage.com.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan, your home for indie sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things indie sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for indie sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ton of replies last night when I asked the question, tell me in 15 words or fewer your thoughts on the 2025 Colts through 15 games. I'll read some of those better replies here in a moment. Before I do that, here's an interesting question that I observed yesterday. And I get this. I still, and I do online shopping. I don't want people to think I'm a complete dinosaur, but I do still go and buy things in brick and mortar stores, okay? And it does necessitate for me to, although I do enjoy it. I enjoy as I mentioned before, going to the mall at Christmas time, and it feels Christmassy to me. But last night, the Colts wore their Indiana Knights uniforms. And it got me thinking, I mean, it is nighttime, and they were wearing their night uniforms. But when I was a kid, one of the real treats was, and Kurt Geralds, who's in for Eddie Garrison today. Kurt, you can fill me in on this if this ever happened with you. When I was a kid, it was a real treat every so often. My mom would maybe do it every couple of months, where we would say, what's for dinner? And she'd say, we're doing breakfast for dinner.
Oh, that's the best.
So you're with me on this, right?
I will make a 3-egg omelet, ham and cheese for dinner at night.
Yeah. So or like when you're a kid, you know, we're going to have pancakes for dinner. I mean, it was like a real treat, right?
Game changer.
So I'm cool with all of that, but I'm curious of this before I get to the tweets. When I was shopping, I went yesterday when we got off the air. I typically by this time of year, I'm well done. I'm usually done, gift wrapped, good to go, like a week to go. But there's been a lot going on this year, and so I've been a little bit delayed. So yesterday I had several things to go get. And at one point I was standing in a store, and it was mayhem in there, right? Mayhem. But I'm standing in the store, and I looked around, and I thought, I'm the only one here not wearing pajamas. Like, when did we get to now a place, culturally speaking, where, like, I saw a couple, it was a guy and his wife, girlfriend, whatever, and they both were wearing Cookie Monster fleece pajama pants, and she had on slippers, literally huge slippers, and he had on Crocs. And I'm thinking, I don't know that I would wear that to get the mail, let alone, it's comfortable, sure, I get it. But then I just started observing, and I literally don't know, and maybe I've never sounded older in my life, but when did this become a thing where everybody's just walking out of the house wearing whatever they woke up in?
I'm not sure. I didn't know you were shopping in my neck of the woods in Beech Grove, though.
I mean, I was just in Beech Grove the other night, by the way. It was awesome. Night Owls. The people there were great. Yes. Fabulous. We had a great time. Speaking of that, I'm going to be this afternoon from 5 until 7 with Mick Ultra, our Mini Hoops Challenge. Ale Emporium, Castleton. Would love to see you from 5 until 7 tonight. But I literally was like, when did this happen? You know, when I was in high school, I'm not going to lie to you, it was a trend there. You'd wear surgical pants. I did that. I get it. But, I mean, grown adults walking around looking like they're having a slumber party. And the big oversized, like, you know, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy slippers. That, to me, that would be difficult just to walk around.
I wouldn't be able to shop. I'd be too focused on what people were wearing.
Also, while I'm on the subject, I've got to say, the customer service, I had to get one thing done at the UPS store in Noblesville, and I was in there, and the three people working in the Noblesville UPS store next to the Kroger. That's about all I can. I mean, I don't know any more specifics than that, but it was unbelievable how fast, efficient, and friendly they were working. I mean, I was like, this is impressive. And then I had to go to Nordstrom, and the customer service at Nordstrom, I'm so clueless. I'm walking around, and you know, they just say to me like, "Can we help you?" And I'm like, "Do I look that lost?" But the customer service at Nordstrom is the creme de la creme. Okay, here's my question. Asked it yesterday as the game ended, as I have done for each and every game this year. Tell me in 15 words or fewer your thoughts on the 2025 Colts through 15 games. The most common answer, obviously, was just great first half, terrible second half. But for both, a lot of times for the games and for the season. This from Anthony. Carly, for the good of the franchise, must see beyond the injuries and clean house. This from Mark in Arcadia. They blackballed Anthony Richardson. Coach and GM need to go and do a hard reset. My buddy Chris, Foley, period, cooked, period. Mo in Ohio. Same story, different season. Colts are the definition of insanity over and over. Yes. This from Jay Marsh. I've got all day to tell you, but I'm limited to 15 words. The pass rush still hasn't reached me after my speech. Kwity Paye is still valiantly locked up in his tackles, fighting to make his way to the quarterback, but at least he held his ground enough that the offensive line isn't downfield. Wait a minute, that's more than 15 words. Yes, it is. Who are we taking with the 18th pick? Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. For 8 years, Ballard showed us what he is capable of, and we never believed him. That from Eric. Tom, lots of good players. Too many questions at key positions. Time for a new GM. This from David. Old Man River kept flowing and throwing. The defense was a broken dam. That's correct. Like I said, the Colts went with what was old in Phillip Rivers, but it was the same old that did him in. The defense collapsing at the end of the year. This from J-Law. It's had more ups and downs than the beast at Kings Island. J-Law, by the way, who I have the utmost respect for. J-Law has, and a friend of this station, friend of JMV, huge IU football fan. J-Law has been very transparent with his cancer journey. and has done frequent updates. And his most recent update last week was that he got a scan that was not necessarily what they were looking for, but he is maintaining the same J-Law optimism and is a diehard fan of the Indiana Hoosiers fighting football team. I hope that he is able to enjoy every minute of that Rose Bowl and hopefully the first of 3 wins for Indiana. But most importantly, J-Law is to be commended for not only being just one of those guys that's a friend to everybody he meets and a positive, upbeat guy, but one that continues to show and lead the example of perseverance and positivity when those things aren't necessarily looking back at him. And so he is one that absolutely, I know I joined J&V in saying I wish him the very best of a Merry Christmas. This from Boiler Tad. Where's Tim Bragg at the postseason press conference so we can get him with a playoffs? That is indeed correct. That's a deep cut. Tim Bragg was the one that asked the question that led to Jim Mora's famous playoff rant during the same press conference that had this nugget. And then right after that, so Tim's like, well, you probably got to win out to get the playoffs. At the playoffs? Are you kidding me? Playoffs? We can win a game. Let's win another game. Jim Mora was the absolute best. Scott Agnes joins us 15 minutes from now. I'll read you more of these over the course of the show. Scott Agnes in 15. Pacers news to talk about, including another injury for the blue and gold. We'll discuss in 15.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Get ready to hoop. It's back. Time to try your skills at the Ale Emporium in Castleton, Tuesday, December 23rd, with the fans' very own Jake Query from 5 to 7 p.m. with Michelob Ultra's Mini Hoops Challenge. Michelob Ultra Mini Hoops Challenge gives you a chance to win a Michelob Ultra basketball jersey and punch your ticket to the Mini Hoops Finals, where a trip to see Indiana versus Milwaukee in Milwaukee on February 6th is on the line, complete with a hotel gift card and $100 Visa gift card. Visit 1075thefan.com today to see all the locations and details.
JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today. FixMyLowT.com.
Hey, Colts fans, Crown Royal is a proud partner of the Indianapolis Colts, and this season it's not game day without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. Whether you're at the tailgate, in the stands, or watching from home, Crown Royal is the reason and the reward for coming together. Grab a glass with the Crown Royal rig at a stadium near you, because we'll be sharing the generous spirit with fans across the country. Crown Royal, fueling game day with a generous spirit. Visit www.crownroyal.com/Royal Rig for more on the Crown Royal Rig Tour. Please drink responsibly.
Celebrate Christmas with an NBA doubleheader. The coverage begins at 11:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Kurt Gerald spinning all the hits here. You know, this is Wham, of course. George Michael, Andrew Ridgeley. Kurt, I would assume that Wham is not within your normal musical wheelhouse, correct? Just
No, just the song.
George Michael is one of the most fascinating characters. Character is the wrong word. People in music based on. Listen Without Prejudice is one of the more underappreciated albums. Here is a Jake Query fun fact. A Jake Query fun fact. I love Guns N' Roses. I've always said Guns N' Roses is my favorite band ever. I love Oasis. Love them. That going to see Oasis in July with my cousin in Manchester, England is something that I will literally cherish for forever. It was amazing. Everything about it was amazing. The concert, the vibe, the energy, all of it. One of the best weekends of my life, Oasis. I love Public Enemy. Love them. The Ghetto Boys, I can go word for word with the Ghetto Boys. Third Base, love that whole era of music. Love it. But George Michael, as I've gone back and done just more like listening to George Michael and reading about him and things like that, was one of the most naturally talented musical ears and writers and feel for music of anybody that we have seen in our lifetime. And that song from Wham is pretty cheesy, as were a lot of Wham songs, but he had an angelic voice and could mix music really well. But the thing about George Michael to me that is the most impressive, I read an article about George Michael who passed away on Christmas Day, probably 6 years ago, if I had to guess the year. But I remember it was on a Christmas Day. And when George Michael passed, his net worth was believed to be at about 20% what it, I'm going to say, should have been. He gave away like 80% of his net worth, it's believed. They believe that he may have given away upward of $75 million because George Michael later in his life, when I say later in his life, he wasn't an old man, but before he passed, he was kind of reclusive, but he would read papers, scour the internet, whatever it may be, and anytime that he saw stories of people that were in plight or in need of help, he would make anonymous donations. And there are countless stories around the United Kingdom and the United States of people that had medical bills or a fire or whatever else, and all of a sudden, like, a donation came through, and they're like, what in the world? And it was George Michael was the one that was behind all of it. I just always thought that was super cool for a guy that had his fair share of misunderstandings about him during his life. Pacers in action tonight. They are taking on, wait for it, the Milwaukee Bucks. Miles Turner back in the mix tonight. And last night, the Pacers right now, and I get it. I mean, this is obviously now we're at a point in the season where we have a pretty good idea of what's not going to happen. And the real frustrating thing for Indiana, and maybe it's a good thing that they have gone through a year without Halliburton that's afforded them the opportunity to sit back and just assess. But we are going to, and Scott Agnes is going to join us just a couple of minutes from now, they've got to start making some serious decisions regarding Jarris Walker and Benedict Mathurin, notably. And both of them are still very young. And Walker in particular is really, you forget how young he is. And Jarris Walker, the unfortunate thing here, I go back to again, it's about where you were drafted and how you were acquired. Because of the investment they put in Jarris Walker, meaning a top 5 pick invested to acquire him, for that reason, you anticipate or expect that means he's going to be a player. But it's just so wildly inconsistent, and because of where and how he was acquired, you expect that he was going to be a guy that was a starter or sixth man. And the same would be said for Bennedict Mathurin. Mathurin, to me, is the one that really is frustrating and polarizing, because one moment you think like, okay, there he is, that's the guy. And then the next, he has a game where he is just completely off. And when Mathurin's bad, he's really bad. When he's good, he's pretty good. But when he's bad, he's really bad. And I still maintain I've never been more convinced of it. And this is where the Pacers might be hurt a little bit. In a perfect world, Mathurin is or was the player that you use to flip into a Turner replacement. So you trade him for a Turner replacement in a perfect world. You then use your draft pick, which they brilliantly got back last year during the finals, and nobody at the time thought anything of it, but that's going to be a high pick. You use that pick to draft a Mathurin replacement. Walker, if you can flip that into something, great. But I think that's where they stand now. The question is, you wonder what Mathurin's trade value is going to be because he has been so inconsistent. But Scott Agnes will join us about 5 minutes now. I want to get back into the Colts a little bit, and then Scott Agnes is going to join us, Fieldhouse Files.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Your home for Indy sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things Indy sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for Indy sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Terry Stacy for Cynthia's Hallmark, and this Christmas, give her something she'll treasure forever. The most sought-after jewelry in the country, E. Newton. Timeless, elegant, and designed for everyday wear. And don't forget the classic Ronaldo bracelets, hand-wired with care in New Albany, Indiana, and these gifts are gifts she will truly love. E. Newton and Ronaldo are available only at Cynthia's Hallmark in Greenfield, and if you're looking for relaxation as a gift, explore the Lemon Lavender Collection. Pampering spa day favorites, perfect for anyone who could use a little comfort this season. And you've got to feel the lavender-scented Warm Pals. They're gently weighted, warm or cool, and designed to give that soothing hug-like feeling. Gifts that fit every budget for every person on your list. You'll find just the right presents at Cynthia's Hallmark, including gift cards. Make your holiday giving meaningful, memorable, and magical. Shop locally owned Cynthia's Hallmark, celebrating 40 years. 116th and Allisonville Road, 96th and Lantern Road, 116th and Brook School Road, and in Greenfield.
This is James with Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling. Out working during the holidays, I always love getting to customers' houses, their bacon, getting the free cookies or the cakes or things you're going to take home with you. Sometimes you're there helping somebody on Christmas Day, and it becomes a benefit. My wife's like, "Oh, you had to work today," and I don't tell her about the case of cookies I got in the truck that I got while I was at Mrs. Jones's house. So we're here if you need us. You're part of our family.
Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It happens every holiday. Food comas, piles of wrapping paper, Uncle Harold's asleep in the recliner. It's only $5.45. But then, Cousin John rolls in with holiday scratch-offs from the Hoosier Lottery. Starting at just $1, they're the perfect gift for making the most of the one time of year all 30 cousins are gathered together in one living room. Unwrap instant fun with holiday scratch-offs. Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Must be 18 or older to play. Gift responsibly.
This Christmas, get a bonus AI Essentials course when you enroll in any My Computer Career IT program by the end of the year. That's a $3,900 value. Attend classes online or on campus. Enjoy lifetime job placement support and IT certifications in high demand. Go to mycomputercareer.edu today and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu. An elite CompTIA certification partner. Conditions apply to AI offer and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Christmas is just around the corner, and if you still have gifts to buy, the best place to do that is Macy's Great Gift Sale. Get amazing deals on last-minute gifts like fine jewelry and fragrance sets, boxed and ready to give. And everything from designer bags to Nespresso coffee makers at 30 to 60% off. Plus, your Macy's is the most festive place this holiday, so come in and find everything left on your list all in one place. The Great Gift Sale ends Wednesday at Macy's. Savings off select prices. Exclusions apply.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at bfa.com/cardfwc26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
BullseyeEventGroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis. The Colts look for revenge as they host the Jacksonville Jaguars. Coverage Sunday morning at 9 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Query and Company.
I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours.
You are not going to believe the company.
This company.
You're going to bankrupt your mama's company.
At least I have the radio to keep me company.
On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points.
Quarterback backs to throw, plants, looking, throws over the middle into the end zone. He's got a man for a touchdown. That's Demarcus Robinson. Rivers out of the gun, backs to pass. He's got time. He throws up into the end zone, and touchdown. Pierce again. Touchdown. Number 2 tonight for Alec Pierce, and it covers 16 yards to the house. Purdy rolling to his right, scanning, looking. He's at the 15-yard line, throws across his body into the end zone, and that is a catch for a touchdown, and that is George Kittle, the tight end. San Francisco leads 24-17. Shotgun snap to Purdy, scanning, throws right side to the goal line, and that's an over-the-shoulder catch for a touchdown. That's Jawan Jennings for the score. Purdy goes out of the gun. 2 receivers go to the right side. Shotgun snap for the quarterback. Here comes the rush by the Colts. He throws left, wide open, touchdown.
My goodness. The number 1 player on the field. Total coverage bust. They don't know what they're doing.
Rivers, shotgun snap, quick throw, and it's picked off. Intercepted by D. Winters, and he's going to go. He's got nobody in front of him. Down the right sideline, he's going to score. It's going to be a pick 6 by D. Winters. Final score tonight on Monday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers 48, and the Indianapolis Colts 27.
Well, you're not going to win that way.
We got our ass totally kicked in the second half. That's what it boiled down to. Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Eddie Garrison putting together the mix. Colts Radio Network, Matt Taylor, Rick Venturi. A couple of clips there from Jim Mora. One from the Diddley Poo speech when he was with the Saints. The other, the famous playoffs rant. where the Colts had just lost to the San Francisco 49ers. As a matter of fact, Jim Mora in that rant basically summarized exactly what I thought about the Colts defensively last night.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked.
It did. And here's the thing. Scott Agnes coming up just about 6 minutes from now. We'll get into the Pacers. But I wanted to touch on the Colts one more time with this. What happened last night at Lucas Oil Stadium was a disappointment, but it was also an embarrassment. I was embarrassed for them. I was embarrassed and I was disappointed in their holiday season. The holiday season, where we should be getting together and celebrating great things. And there are great traditions, as I mentioned earlier, in Indianapolis at the holidays. The great bronze cherub that sits atop the Ellis Ayers clock and shows up on Thanksgiving night and magically disappears on Christmas Eve. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument and the stream of lights, the circle of lights, to celebrate and indicate that the city is coming together for the holidays. It's a great tradition. The Yuletide is a fabulous tradition presented by AES Indiana, right down on the circle. Now the Carmel Christmas Market's wonderful. And unfortunately, one of the traditions at the holidays for the last handful of years has been the defense of the Indianapolis Colts completely collapsing down the stretch. And what was disappointing last night was it all came to fruition for them, because the Colts have spent a number of years now just kicking that can down the road at the quarterback position. And Chris Ballard kept kicking that quarterback can down the road. At one point, he could have drafted a quarterback. But they thought they had the guy in Carson Wentz. There were a number of different things. They mortgaged their future. Instead of drafting a quarterback, they sent away a first-round pick to San Francisco for DeForest Buckner, who's been a really good player. No complaints about DeForest Buckner, a pro's pro, for sure. But you know who they could have selected that year in the first round? A guy named Justin Herbert, who was so promising that the Chargers took him and thus parted ways with their legendary quarterback, Phillip Rivers, who then came to Indianapolis. But the Colts, when they brought in Phillip Rivers and saw that there was still some fuel left in the tank, they didn't do enough background to know whether they were going to get him for 2 years instead of one, and he just wanted to go for one. Now, eventually, they'd get year two out of him, and it would be now, when they brought a 44-year-old quarterback to come out there in what almost felt like a novelty act. But at least it made things interesting. So Phillip Rivers goes out, and everybody's tuning in, half snickering about it. And you know what? In that game, when Jim Mora was talking about that San Francisco 49er game where he said that was a disgraceful performance, Jim Mora led his press conference that day by saying, well, let me start by saying this. Don't blame that loss on the defense, all right? Because he was defending his defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, at that time. Don't blame that loss last night on Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, at the age of 44, a guy that's old, a guy that's probably tired, went out there and did everything you could possibly ask for you. And his receivers played well. And that offense was fine. And Phillip Rivers was energetic. He was engaged. He was a leader. He was invested. It was the defense that was a total disgrace. They were old. They were tired. They were checked out. And they let Brock Purdy, who had been the 262nd selection in the NFL draft, sit back there and do whatever he wanted. And it showed to Chris Ballard and the rest of the world that you can have a quarterback that you draft with the last pick in the draft, and you can make him a good quarterback if he has time and if you have depth around him. And he threw last night to a tight end that he hadn't thrown to since like week 3 because his starting tight end had been hurt. But the Niners have depth. And Purdy had time. Because the one area that the Colts have continued to build and invest is pass rush, and it's still totally non-existent. And they didn't have pass rush last night, but more so, they had no heart. And I felt bad for people that sacrificed their time during the holidays, that could have been out shopping, that could have been out at a corporate party, that could have been spending time or getting ready to travel to go over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house. And instead they sat there and they watched that defense with no heart, no effort, no idea, no clue, no discipline, and no game plan. That defense last night, to quote Jim Mora, that was a disgraceful performance. Disgraceful. And Phillip Rivers deserved better. And the buying public deserved better. And now, as we've talked about for the last 2 hours, there are question marks as to where they go from here. But last night, defensively speaking, the Indianapolis Colts, and I know players say, they don't read, they don't listen, whatever else, but they're always seemingly fueled and driven by media that says things wrong and incorrectly. You know what we said wrong and incorrectly all year long is that we thought this team had the depth to make a difference and overcome injuries, like San Francisco has done, like other franchises have done. They don't have depth, and last night they had no heart, no effort, and no clue. That was a terrible defensive performance. Terrible. And I feel bad for Phillip Rivers because he deserved better. He simply did. Pacers last night led, then game got away from him. Isaiah Jackson got hurt. There's question as to whether or not that was intentional, whether or not it was not. Isaiah Jackson left with a concussion. Rick Carlisle has said that he thinks it could be serious. But they're in action tonight taking on the Bucks at the Fieldhouse. Miles Turner's returning it. I don't think that they'll be doing a video for Miles Turner. And by the way, leading up to the game, from 5 until 7 o'clock tonight, speaking of the Bucks, if you want to go see them play in Milwaukee in this game rematch in February, we have the chance for you to do that. Come out for our Mini Hoops Challenge at Ale Emporium tonight from 5 until 7 o'clock. Get the high score. You're entered. And in February, we're going to send you along with a hotel voucher from our friends at Mick Ultra and Zinc Distributing. 5 until 7 tonight, Ale Emporium in Castleton. Joining me now on the Java House Peel Report guest line, he is with Fieldhouse Files. Scott Agnes joins the show. Scott, let's begin with this. The Isaiah Jackson injury last night, I saw him walking off after the fact, but now Rick Carlisle last night had said that there was concern, perhaps concussion. Do we know what the latest is in that?
Yeah, the latest is he was diagnosed with a concussion, has already, Jake, been ruled out for tonight's game against the Bucks, and it makes you wonder about his status, too, moving forward with another back-to-back coming up this weekend. But they'll have the next 2 days between games, but it's even more difficult for them to take at the moment because Tony Bradley last week fractured the tip of his right thumb, so that's why they brought in James Wiseman. So now Bradley's limited. We know Isaiah Jackson's out, so they're really down to Jay Huff and James Wiseman.
So Wiseman was on a 10-day. I would assume that becomes a 20-day now, right?
You would assume it will expire before the next game, so they'll have to make at least one more transaction before Friday.
Scott, one of the things to me that's been frustrating, and I get that you're going without all, you're going into this without all pieces around them. But Andrew Nembhard, Jarris Walker, Benedict Mathurin, those three, the consistency or lack thereof to me has been frustrating. I think Nembhard is another one that has struggled with consistency. You agree or disagree?
I would agree, but I put Mathurin and Nembhard in a category of giving it their all despite their physical limitations, meaning they're not healthy and they're battling and they need help from everybody else. And so of those three, Walker's the one that really strikes me. This is a breakout type year he could have. The opportunity is obviously there, and he's only getting 15 minutes because that's really all he earns right now.
And last night, again, I mean, I don't know if Walker was over. He might have had a field goal, but he just Scott, what is it that is missing, I guess I would ask? Because at times he looks in flow and he looks comfortable, and he has, he's a bigger body, but at the same time, he can play on the outside. He can at times have touch, but then it's like things just go too fast for him. What is it that's missing?
Yeah, I think your last point is the number one thing is his mind gets racing, and then sometimes maybe his mind gets ahead of his body, and whether he overthinks should he take this 3 or not, or what should he do when he puts it on the floor? To me, it's the decision-making and overthinking, I think, out there. And some of it is understandable, right? He sees what we're talking about. There's this opportunity. He needs to prove himself. He was disappointed not to be eligible for the finals last year due to injury, trying to make up for lost time. But it just hasn't played out as any of us thought. Like all those things that we highlighted during the draft process, which made him an obvious fit for this franchise, and all the things they talked about, his defensive versatility, his length, his defense, his three-point shooting, really all that's shown is a consistency, I think, from his three-point shot, although last night he was 0 for 4. But it seems like he's had to adapt, certainly, playing a different defense than what he did at Houston, where he could kind of, it was just entirely different. But here, you're right, Jake. He's the one, to me, that has just not elevated his game to the level we thought, to the point where I think Johnny Furphy surpassed him, and he's a year behind him.
Yeah, and Furphy, I know that fans love Furphy because of the dunks, right? Like in Summer League and that kind of thing. But Furphy's another one that you can kind of see now the game starting to slow down for him a little bit. And I thought initially he looked like he was playing also like a little oversped. But in talking with the Pacers, they love not only his length, but the fact that he can be quick release and defensively has a little bit of length about him. What is the ceiling for Johnny Furphy?
Yeah, I go back to like Mike Dunleavy. That's the comparison I like to use for Furphy here. And you got to remember too, he came in as a 19-year-old, new to the States, and spent 1 year at Kansas. So there's going to be more of a growth curve and more adaptability necessary, I think, for a guy like him. But now in this year, you're totally right. I think things have slowed down. I think he knows a lot more of what Rick Carlisle and the staff are asking from him, and he's more confident in his abilities. And I think you see that play out. The only thing that has held him back to this point has been that ankle injury that he suffered very early in the season, maybe even game 1. Then he was out for a month, then he came back and then kind of tweaked it this past week and is now having to play through that. And that's all obviously a mental hurdle when these players suffer injuries, is can they get to their spots and make the same type of moves when one of your limbs and his ankle is not completely healthy.
Scott Agnes is my guest, Fieldhouse Files, where you can read his work. He's on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. Scott, one of the things that was a positive for the Pacers, and he has been, and I was wrong. I mean, I had hesitation about giving a max deal to Pascal Siakam, partially because of his age and the timelines. And he's been everything and more that you could ask. So I was wrong there. But one of the things that is of concern to me, and I want you, Scott Agnes, to tell me if I should not be concerned by this. One of the things that is of concern to me is the fact that Pascal Siakam, when he arrived via trade, the lack of mileage for his age was a selling point. Hey, I know that he's this age, but or older than other players, but he doesn't have the number of games logged in Toronto. Is that getting offset now by the fact that he is the one guy that they're having to use 35 plus a night, and he's having to go at a higher level than if he had everybody around him to lean on?
Yeah, I think it's less the mileage or minutes per game he's playing right now, and more so how much is being asked from him within that time frame, right? Like if he doesn't do it, he's got to have that feel like, all right, well, no one else will, or I got to do it at both ends and I can't take possessions off or anything like that. So to me, it's not the minutes. It's more just the lack of help across the roster that they're really getting. It's him, it's Mathurin, and it's Nembhard, and the rest of the group has kind of struggled with a few exceptions from now and then, right? Furphy had a big game the other night in New Orleans. TJ McConnell, you know what you can get exactly from him, but everybody else, a lot of question marks.
Scott, when you were a kid growing up, I asked Steven this question earlier. If you were to look back at Christmases in the Agnes household, each year there's the one thing that you like. You're trying everything. You're going to every Santa that you've known to man. You're asking everybody. You're repeating it to your parents. You're telling your grandparents. It is the one gift you want more than anything in life itself. Give me the gift at any point in the childhood of Agnes that jumps out at you as you're like, man, I remember wanting that more than anything.
Ooh, that's a great question. I think I had a lot of high hopes. I used to be the guy that had the long list. Now I haven't even thought, nor have I even started.
Well, you're running out of time, bud.
Work calls first, Jake. A couple that come to mind, Penny Hardaway shoes back in the day. That must have been probably late 90s. And probably the other one, I think, was it was the Rival, and I was so mad that I got it. I got the N64, but I think I wanted the other one, like a Sega maybe, and it ended up being just fine, but I remember throwing a fit about that.
So you were a spoiled kid?
Sometimes.
You were a brat. Is that what we're getting at? You were a brat?
I was definitely known for being that until middle school, for sure.
Okay, fair enough. And we'll do what we did with Stephen Holder earlier, okay? Santa he's already, Santa's got to start out down in Australia and, down there because it turns midnight faster, right? So Santa just has the night where everything's going perfect. He's put it in the ways. Rudolph is just killing it on the direction. Donner and Blitzen are on it. And so he's way ahead of schedule. And he arrives in the United States a little bit ahead of schedule. And so he knows that he's going to visit a couple people. And he's going to ask them, I want to know, as it relates to your job, what you want Santa to bring you for Christmas. And he begins at the home of Kevin Pritchard. And he says, Kevin Pritchard, when it comes to this basketball team, tell me what it is that you want for Christmas that's most going to help your team. That would be what?
Let's throw out the obvious, Jake, of good health, because every team wants that. I would say stability and a long-term piece at the center position.
Okay. So good answer, and Santa writes that down. And then Santa gets in his sleigh, and he goes to the home of Rick Carlisle. And he says, Rick, I just got done talking to your friend Kevin. Seems like a nice guy. The thing is, I'm willing to offer you the same thing as Santa Claus. However, I can only deliver one per person. So, Rick Carlisle, you have to say something that is most going to help your team, but you cannot go with stability at the center position. Rick Carlisle asks Santa for what?
Consistency of their play.
Fair.
The consistency of their hard play, because like last night, we saw a solid first half and a terrible second half.
Okay. Finally, Santa is going to go to the home of Pascal Siakam. And he's going to say, you've been a very good boy. You've been a very good boy, because there are a lot of players that would have gone to Santa a long time ago and asked for a trade. There are players that would have gone to Santa a long time ago and asked, simply why. But you left me fabulous cookies. You left me really good milk. I'm very appreciative. This is a beautiful home where you had all your teammates down in the offseason. But I'm curious, you, Pascal, what is it that you would like? What does Pascal Siakam say?
I think he'd say Aaron Nesmith to come back sooner than later.
That's not a bad
reinforcements.
Yeah, Nesmith is. You play that Jenga, right? That wooden block game. They have it at Drake's. They have it basically at any restaurant. You know what I'm talking about? The Jenga.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Nesmith is one of those block pieces that is far more important than probably people realize. You would agree?
Yeah, for sure. At both ends, in the locker room, the hard play is contagious. Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. Lastly, Santa gets done in Indy, and now he's going to put on an extra layer, and he puts the cute little, toppings on Rudolph and the gang, because they're going further north to Milwaukee, where things get very, very cold. And truth be told, nobody, for the obvious reasons, the reindeer, they do kind of like the Bucks. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of within the family. But nonetheless, Santa gets there, and he arrives at the home of Miles Turner. And he says to Miles Turner, young Miles, what is it that you would like for Christmas? You made an interesting request to the Easter Bunny last year in the spring, and now it's wintertime, and it's my turn. What does Miles Turner say, truth be told, that he hopes for?
I think he would say, I already got paid, and if Giannis wants out, I want to go to a winning situation as well to maximize the rest of my career.
Okay, fair enough. Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, where you can read his work. Always a pleasure, Scott. You have big Christmas plans by chance?
Just in town with family as usual, which is awesome. Okay. I love it. It's my favorite holiday across the year. So
well, I'll tell the neighbors to keep clear in the front yard for your tantrum if you don't get the exact specifications of your request, right?
That was the old me about 30 years ago.
Okay, fair enough. Scott, Merry Christmas to you, man. Appreciate the time as always.
Hey, you too, Jake. Thanks. Enjoyed that game.
Scott Agnes joining us on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. You know what I have not done today? And I should have, and I apologize, but I also was aware that there were some things we were kind of working through. And I appreciate everybody's patience with that and as well our engineers and their work. But 239-1070 is the telephone number. And after a game like we had last night, I'm just under the assumption that people would like to get it off their chest. 239-1070 in terms of, I asked yesterday, about what people wanted to say in terms of Twitter and their thoughts from last night. And let me read you two other really good ones. Again, 15 words or fewer is the way I asked it last night. I like this from Pond Bear. Went over 15 words, but it's good. I think this offseason is going to look like 2012. 2026 is, I'll say, screwed. You might as well trade Taylor, Pittman, Nelson, Franklin. Anyone of value with a contract is gone. Their careers are done here. That sounds extreme, but I don't think it's totally off base in terms of something that can be explored. I'm not saying they do it, but I could see them exploring it. Ross Matlock. Ross Matt 8. Ross Matlock has, I think, the best answer of all, and I've used it today. Ross Matlock gets total credit for it. Achilles heel, bigger issue than Achilles tendon. That is so brilliant. Ross, that is so brilliant. And you are right. The Achilles heel, meaning in this case for me, and all you can come up with 100 different things that you think would be the Achilles heel. But the Achilles heel has been defensively and lack of late season execution for the Colts defense and depth. Those two things have absolutely been things that have done in the Colts at this point. Kurt, did you say that we have a couple to participate? Are you there?
We got Mo and Kimball on the line. Your choice.
We will begin with Mo. Mo is exactly what the Niners offense had last night. Plenty of momentum, and it never let up. What's up, Mo?
Well, I just got to you guys, the fan has been my elixir, kind of, sort of, because I got up this morning drowning myself in my orange juice, and I look across my room, and I'm looking at that bottle of vodka, and I'm thinking at 9 o'clock in the morning, should I? And I didn't. I passed on it. But they are driving me. The Colts are driving me in that direction. I don't know what to say. Fans, I bought season tickets for 30-some years, and it just keeps going over and over and over and over. I know how you feel about it, but I can talk myself into all kinds of ways in which if they just jettisoned everybody and tried to make it work, that I can see a way where it could work. I don't know, but we keep, it's that insanity thing that you and I keep going over, and it just keeps going on and on and on, and we repeat ourselves in everything. Shoot, we even repeated ourselves getting Phillip Rivers.
Let me ask you this, Mo. Do you ever had one of these dreams, and maybe it's just me and my own neuroticism. Do you ever have a dream where you are like in a building and you got to get to, a final exam or something like that, but you're in a hallway and every time you try the door, it's locked, and you keep trying a different door and it's locked again, and it's that's what it feels like. It feels like every combination they're trying to use for the last 10 years is locked.
And that's the same thing with fandom. You know, I'm sitting around, and businesses, they jettison things. They start all over if you've gone for so long. And all I want is hope. But it seems like we get into that part, and then we have no hope. And fight. I just wanted to see some fight, and that was so totally disappointing last night with the defense.
So I'm not being too critical when I say that defense looked like they had no heart, no hope, no plan, right?
Oh my gosh! I know when you said something about watching training camp, and that's exactly what I thought. There were times when they just looked like they were statues. They were like them blocking dummies or whatever that they have.
Yeah.
And I don't mean the word dummy. I'm not calling them
No,
that.
I know what you mean. They're just standing there, right? Wait, they're just standing there waiting.
You just keep
Hey,
hitting it.
Mo, most
I couldn't even
importantly,
believe sometimes they double teamed them, and I thought, what the heck are you guys thinking?
Mo, listen, when it all comes down to it, here's the thing. Football is a great game, and the Colts are a franchise that have given a lot of, joy to people for a long time. And I love the fact that all we want is hope. That should be their motto for next year. But most importantly, at Christmas time, it's about health and it's about family and happiness. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas for your entire family with that. Kimball joins us now. Kimball, what's up?
This is your 75-year-old favorite race car driver.
75-year-old favorite race car driver.
Yeah. I talked a while back. You called me Charlie Kimball.
I love it, man. I love it.
Hey.
Matter of fact, you're still – what is it you race? Late models?
Well, right now it's a 2018 Dodge Durango.
Well, listen, I mean, they're late models, whether it be cars or otherwise, you can always be chasing them down, right? I mean, you get what I'm saying there, right, Kimball?
Yep. Well, I tell you what, everybody's talked about the defense, so I won't talk about that because that's a dead horse. But my feeling right now is I feel good for Phillip Rivers. They give him no shot last night, and he did everything he could.
He did.
And it seemed like we went away from the running game from Jonathan Taylor after he got to almost 1,500 yards. And, then everybody finally figured out what to do to stop him. So, other than you have to have players to have a defense, then you have to have a coach. And everybody come in talking about Lou Aranmo. So he was supposed to be the savior. Well, I don't see it. But, I will part with this shot right here. Go IU all the way. Thanks again. Happy New Year and a good blessing to you.
Hey, man, happy holidays as well, Kimball. That's our man, our 75-year-old race car driver. I love it, right? And happy holidays. And you are right. You know what? Did you ever think? Can you imagine going on the Wayback Machine at any point? And when I say way back, even 3 years ago, but can you imagine certainly 30 years ago, 40 years ago, saying to someone, I'm looking into the future. I'm looking in the future in 2025, and I'm seeing a city that is still picking itself up and dusting itself off from being one half away from winning an NBA title in Game 7. But they thought that they were going to find some peace of mind based on the Indianapolis Colts getting out to a potential number 1 seed in the AFC. But when it all went south, it was all made good based on the fact that they would still be a week away from watching the Indiana Hoosiers as the number 1 seed in the college football playoffs get set to beat Alabama and then go on and for the second time potentially beat Oregon or Texas Tech, where Bob Knight would coach after he was fired from Indiana. And then they'll go on and potentially face the Ohio State Buckeyes, who they previously beat at Lucas Oil Stadium in the Big Ten championship game. There are so many elements of that statement that 35 years ago someone would have looked at you and without question, you're in LaRue Carter or Central State or whatever was open at the time, because people would have been like, there's no way that none of that is of sound mind. None of it. Your continued thoughts on it, if you'd like, from last night. A total collapse Phillip Rivers said something about where he thinks the Colts are. We'll let you hear it next.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
Ring in the new year at Royal Pin Entertainment's annual New Year's Eve celebration. Countdown to 2026 with a celebration the whole family will love. Get to Royal Pin from 9 p.m. to midnight on December 31st for 3 hours of fun and family-friendly excitement, including cosmic bowling, a complimentary appetizer board, a midnight toast, and a whole lot more. Each lane fits up to 6 guests. There's plenty of celebration to go around. So bring your friends, bring your family, and roll into 2026 with a bang. Spots fill up fast. Reserve your lane now at royalpin.com.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Royal Pin Entertainment, where fun rolls into the new year.
Royal Pin. Bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
Food insecurity is an urgent problem, one that impacts real Hoosiers. You can help today. Gleaners needs donations. Your contribution goes further with Gleaners. For every $10 you give, Gleaners leverages their resources to turn your $10 into $90 worth of groceries for families who desperately need help right now. Your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with warehouse distribution. Go to gleaners.org and donate or get involved today.
JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today. fixmylowt.com.
Christmas is just around the corner, and if you still have gifts to buy, the best place to do that is Macy's Great Gift Sale. Get amazing deals on last-minute gifts like fine jewelry and fragrance sets, boxed and ready to give. And everything from designer bags to Nespresso coffee makers at 30 to 60% off. Plus, your Macy's is the most festive place this holiday. So come in and find everything left on your list all in one place. The Great Gift Sale ends Wednesday at Macy's. Savings off select prices. Exclusions apply.
When I was 48 years old, I had a massive heart attack.
Jake Query, sports radio host and announcer for the IndyCar Radio Network, shares his story as a registered organ donor.
I've always heard the assumption that I don't know about being an organ donor because if you go into the ER, they're going to be more anxious to get your organs. I'm kind of proof that's not the case. When your life is the one that's in the balance, your life is the priority.
Say yes to organ donation.
I have the opportunity to allow another group of people to continue the love and the beauty of life. Why wouldn't I do it?
To learn more, go to donatelifeindiana.org.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com. The Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
This is the Fan Morning Show.
Ross Tucker, are you under the belief or think the Colts should bring everybody back, including Daniel Jones, for 2026?
I am.
That's not to say that there shouldn't be some tweaks. I honestly think they have a really good team. Buckner doesn't get hurt. If Gardner doesn't get hurt, I would try to keep the band together as much as possible. I think it's better than whatever other alternatives would be out there.
It's the Fan Morning Show. Weekday mornings on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow.
I don't think we're going to see snow in the forecast for the holidays. It's pretty amazing. I'm looking outside right now. People walking around in sweatshirts. Of course, it's all relative because if it had been 50 degrees in early October, we'd be walking around in bonfires, right? But it's pretty amazing outside. And where do we go now as we get set for the holidays? Over the river and through the woods. And are the Colts, in fact, through the thick of the woods when it comes to Phillip Rivers? 2 games remaining. Jacksonville, who clinched a playoff spot last night, and then down in Houston to take on the Texans. The Colts still mathematically are alive, 3% chance as of right now. But the question when it comes to Phillip Rivers in terms of the Colts themselves, he was brought in. Was he symbolic of a Hail Mary? Maybe. But even with that, he was brought in to do what he could to try to lift this franchise into the postseason. And you cannot blame him last night. Can't blame him last night. I thought he looked limited in Seattle, and they were figuring out what Rivers could do, and Seattle was figuring out what Rivers could do. But last night, he was very good, and his receivers, you could tell, wanted to make plays for him. And he had an energy and a juice and a vibe and a belief and a confidence and a leadership about him. But that defense for the Colts was terrible, inexcusably bad. But now here you are. Riley Leonard got on the field at the end of the game. You go into Jacksonville, see where the chips fall. Question for Phillip Rivers when he was asked about the Colts and just kind of where things are for Indianapolis right now. We'll begin with, Shane Steichen had said that Rivers was the guy that, he wanted. They had a relationship there. Phillip Rivers, your thoughts. Are you the Colts quarterback for the remainder here moving forward?
I think it's as simple, and Shane said it in the locker room, as we signed up for 17. Obviously, I didn't sign up for all 17 of them, but you signed up for 17. And I just remember having to live that in years past. It's our job, to stick and bring it and give everything we got in every game, whatever game you're in, regardless of the situation. And that's to me the matter of fact route. The other part of it is this is the National Football League, and you've all dreamed of playing in this game as a kid. And if someone asked you again, would you play if y'all were going to be 2-14 like some of these teams are? If you had 2 games left, heck yeah. What do you mean we get to play an NFL football game again? So I those are the 2 simplest routes to take. But it's first and foremost our job to go stick and, do the work we've been asked to do. And we've come up short. But what we've been asked to do is give our best effort. And so that's what has to be done, these next few days of preparation, which on a short week with Christmas on Thursday and then a division opponent that's on fire right now. So we'll have to bounce back in a hurry.
And I'll tell you what, he's right about the divisional opponent on fire. Seemingly no one, a year ago, I'll go back to, and I know I compare a lot into the NBA world. But a year ago, towards the end of the year, was anybody talking about the Indiana Pacers? Was anybody talking about the pace in which they were playing and the trend they were setting in the NBA? Was anyone discussing the Pacers as a favorite to win the East? Lots of talk about Cleveland. If Darius Garland gets healthy, Mobley, Donovan Mitchell. A lot of talk about New York. Oh, man, Karl Anthony Towns, what a difference maker. Jalen Brunson's a bulldog. A lot of talk last year about other teams, but not Indiana. Pacers were just kind of quiet, but those that knew of them were like, no, pay attention. These guys can play. They can score at a high clip. and then they end up in the NBA Finals. I don't think Jacksonville's going to the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. Don't misquote me. Don't misunderstand me. But has anybody talked about them? You don't hear anything about them. They were written off in week 6. They were written off. Man, it's going to come down to, look at the Colts, the number 1 seed, and Houston's awfully good. But man, if the Colts can get things righted, look how strong they're going to be. And then Jacksonville just kept winning. And Trevor Lawrence seemingly has figured it out. It feels like there's still some vintage Trevor Lawrence NFL moments left in him, and maybe this would come crashing. But I'm telling you, I watched every single snap the guy played in college, and he was the number 1 quarterback in the country in high school football from the time. I mean, by the time he was a sophomore. All-time passing leader, every record, every accolade. He goes to Clemson. They'd been in the finals. They'd lost to Alabama. They had Kelly Bryant as their quarterback, and all of a sudden, Kelly Bryant as a senior, they're like, you know what, it's been real, but thanks. And they hand the keys over to Trevor Lawrence as a freshman, and they win by an average of 20 points per game in their last 8 games of the year. And he dominates and eviscerates Alabama. And then he comes back, and they lose to LSU. But Joe Burrow was thrown all over the place, and then Ohio State as well. But nonetheless, everyone knew he was going to be the first pick in the draft, and that's why Urban Meyer went back into coaching, because he wanted to coach Trevor Lawrence. And it stunted him, and it delayed him, and he did not – the passing windows of throwing to a T. Higgins or throwing to, the receivers that he had the luxury to throw to, Jordan Leggett, Hunter Renfrow, guys like that. I mean, they were so open. Hunter Renfrow might have been gone by then, but you get my point. He's throwing to Sunday guys all the time. And you have to adjust your windows in the NFL, and I think that also stunted him. But it seems like he's figured it out. And they got a running game, and Jacksonville's darn good. Darn good. But we'll see what happens with the Colts. And then if they were to lose that game, what happens with Phillip Rivers going into Week 17? JMV is here. We'll do the crossover. Brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is the website. 317-353-2141. We'll catch up with John, see what he's got lined up next.
Treat yourself with a new watch from Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel. They have over 20 watch brands, including Omega, Breitling, Hublot, and the Midwest's best selection of pre-owned watches. Tell them JMV sent you.
It happens every holiday. Food comas, piles of wrapping paper, Uncle Harold's asleep in the recliner. It's only $5.45. But then, Cousin John rolls in with holiday scratch-offs from the Hoosier Lottery. Starting at just $1, they're the perfect gift for making the most of the one time of year all 30 cousins are gathered together in one living room. Unwrap instant fun with holiday scratch-offs. Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Must be 18 or older to play. Gift responsibly.
JMV here for the best in realty. Mark Dito Realty, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. MarkDietel.com. MarkDietel.com. Today. So, Michael in Speedway loved the Speedway home, and he raised a family there, but it was time to sell and downsize. Met with Mark Dietel and the team, and they explained their amazing marketing plan, and he was convinced. Just like the Speedway, things move fast from there after just 3 days on the market. Michael accepted an offer for $11,000 over asking price. In fact, Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. It's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. MarkDietel.com. MarkDietel.com.
Hi,
today.
I'm Emily, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where a small box with a burgundy bow will help you win the holidays. As an in-house designer, I love creating meaningful, fine jewelry gifts. Choose a necklace with a gorgeous infinity charm to symbolize your everlasting love. Or go for a personalized piece with an engraving, their zodiac sign, favorite color gemstone, or their initial accented with pave diamonds. Because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Stop by or shop now at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
This Christmas, get a bonus AI Essentials course when you enroll in any My Computer Career IT program by the end of the year. That's a $3,900 value. Attend classes online or on campus. Enjoy lifetime job placement support and IT certifications in high demand. Go to mycomputercareer.edu today and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Conditions apply to AI offer and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
It's Terry Stacy for Cynthia's Hallmark, and this Christmas, give her something she'll treasure forever. The most sought-after jewelry in the country, E. Newton. Timeless, elegant, and designed for everyday wear. And don't forget the classic Ronaldo bracelets, hand-wired with care in New Albany, Indiana, and these gifts are gifts she will truly love. E. Newton and Ronaldo are available only at Cynthia's Hallmark in Greenfield, and if you're looking for relaxation as a gift, explore the Lemon Lavender Collection. Pampering spa day favorites, perfect for anyone who could use a little comfort this season, and you've got to feel the lavender-scented Warm Pals. They're gently weighted, warm or cool, and designed to give that soothing hug-like feeling. Gifts that fit every budget for every person on your list. You'll find just the right presents at Cynthia's Hallmark, including gift cards. Make your holiday giving meaningful, memorable, and magical. Shop locally owned Cynthia's Hallmark, celebrating 40 years. 116th and Allisonville Road, 96th and Lantern Road, 116th and Brook School Road, and in Greenfield.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Christmas is just around the corner, and if you still have gifts to buy, the best place to do that is Macy's Great Gift Sale. Get amazing deals on last-minute gifts like fine jewelry and fragrance sets, boxed and ready to give. And everything from designer bags to Nespresso coffee makers at 30 to 60% off. Plus, your Macy's is the most festive place this holiday, so come in and find everything left on your list all in one place. The Great Gift Sale ends Wednesday at Macy's. Savings off select prices. Exclusions apply.
Macy's Backstage is inside your Macy's store where you can find last-minute gifts for under $20. With new arrivals every day, you never know what amazing deals you'll find. Find a location at macysbackstage.com.
This is Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Before we get into a couple of Christmas notes and then the crossover with J&V, if you could, please, Kurt Gerald's the breaking news sounder. Shane Steichen confirming what we suspected anyway. Phillip Rivers will start again against Jacksonville coming up on Sunday. Riley Leonard will be the backup. So that's where things stand with that. J&V just walked in. But before that, let me say real quick before we get to the crossover. I know that all of you know that we have moved buildings. There have been some engineering technical things for all of us to work through in that. Certainly, they are still putting in some different wiring and software things that have created bugs here and there. And by the new year, they're aware of it, is what I'm getting at, working on it, and that's all going to sort itself out. And I can only imagine, the level of dedication and expertise that these guys have to have and gals have to get all this going. So it is greatly appreciated. Did want to say before we hand it off to John and find out what he's got going on, simply a thank you to all of you for riding it out with us throughout this, but also each and every day as you do in everything from the Pacers run. It's been a miraculous year, and the year is not over with, I realize, but it's been a great year to talk about sports in Central Indiana, and I know I speak for John and Kevin and James and Jeff and everybody here by saying, we know that we don't do that without those of you listening. So I certainly am aware and under the understanding not everybody celebrates Christmas. There are different theological backgrounds in which people may celebrate different forms of what it is that they believe. But nonetheless, it is the time of year of that celebration and getting together with your family to enjoy everything and a little time off. And I certainly, for all of you, hope a health and a happiness and, of course, the love with the people that matter the most to you over the next couple of days. We will not be on the air tomorrow nor on Thursday to celebrate Christmas. So a very Merry Christmas to those of you that are celebrating that. JMV is here. It is the crossover brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is the website. John, one thing that you got to give me credit for last night, I said on touchdown number 2, I go, they're going to throw a touchdown to Alec Pierce.
You did say that.
Boom,
right there.
Right
there in front of me. Now, I was going to say, even though we're not on the air tomorrow, tune in anyway, because maybe I will be, just like last week. I didn't think I was on the air, and I was on the air.
That's right.
So I was thinking about like 6 minutes, and you saw that guy from the Flyers get like a 2-game suspension for, hey, while you're down there, which I've used that all the time. And I thought it was pretty funny. But, 6 minutes is a long time.
It is a long time.
It's a long time.
Well, it depends. Sometimes I look up and I think, man, 6 minutes just flew by. And other times I look up and I think 6 minutes is like 6 years.
6 seconds for me is too long off the. I go, oh, my goodness, how did that not happen?
Yeah,
but,
I'm with you there.
Hey, it was good to hang out with you in the press box yesterday.
That was about the game itself was brutal.
Yeah.
I assume you've got a big one lined up to talk about exactly that,
I'm
right?
just going to go ahead and tell everybody what I think is going to happen here. I think we've seen it all, right? I said the Colts have, over this era now, found new ways to disappoint. And I think they've exhausted everything. When you think about it, they've tried everything. Every single thing that they have tried has been a failure. So it is time. And I wish now, I talked about them resetting back in January, and then I looked like a horse's ass earlier this season because they played so well. But it's weird how this goes. Now it looks to be genius if you were to reset, because not only do you have to reset, but you're also going to be behind for the next 2 years because you invested in a season that has completely gone down the toilet. So, it's tough. I mean, it really is. I heard you mentioned gap year with the Pacers a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a 2-year gap year coming up here.
Totally.
It's like been a gap era here.
I love the Aladdin's Castle shirt, by the way.
What was your favorite game in Aladdin's Castle back in the day? Favorite game?
I mean, pole
What'd
position.
What'd you pump the most quarters into?
Pole position or Frogger?
Oh, really?
Donkey Kong was cool. I didn't like.
Did you like Turbo? Turbo's often forgotten, but a great racing game.
It was a good game. It was a good game. But I
What about
played a lot.
Star Wars, especially the one you sat down in, and you're like,
I like hyperlocking in
Red
asteroids.
5 standing by, Red Skeleton standing by, Red Fox standing by.
I had just the perfect mix of Mountain Dew and pepperoni the day I set the high score on Frogger. All right, John's up next. John, Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas to you and the
I'll be
entire
back with
fam.
everybody Friday,
And
and
my girl
John will
Shannon.
carry you home next. That's right. We will talk to you, and